Good morning, everyone, and good morning and welcome to our special meeting for this week's Board of Public Works meeting for Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. Dr. Campos?
Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum for today. We have Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, Commissioners Caloza and Villegas. Madam Chair, you do have a quorum at this time. Currently, we do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comments section. We also do not have any callers on the line under general public comment. We do have one caller for item number 6. We also have the contractor from Spinello, Abdul, on item number 7 on the line, should your board have any questions. We're also joined by individuals from DWP on item number 3, and then individuals from the Los Angeles World Airports, LAWA, and the City Attorney's Office on item number 7. I'm sorry, 2. And we're also joined by our General Counsel, Tania Sagiri, on the line.
You're welcome, Tania. All right, I think we can get started then, right? It seems like everybody's here. All right. Well, that takes us to the first item of today's business. This is the approval of the minutes for the meeting of Wednesday, January 26, 2022. Is there a second to my motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. That's moved by me, second by Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, do you want to do a roll call?
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation at this time. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
Thank you. This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, can we consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Great. Moving us on to the second, and I just want to make a clear something out. We did start today at 10:10. It was just, administrative that we had to do, but that's why it's called a special today, because we just started 10 minutes late. But it's really our regularly scheduled meeting that we are conducting. With that said, I'm gonna move us along through, kind of chronological time, 2, 3, 4, 5, unless we have any other requests, but I think I'm just gonna move it along. So this is for item number 2. This is for all council districts. This is a memorandum of understanding from Los Angeles World Airports Expanded Living Wage Ordinance and Worker Retention Ordinance Contract Compliance Services. Recommending the board to 1, concur with the provisions of the Los Angeles World Airports LAWA settlement relating to the Bureau of Contract Administration, and 2, authorize the director of BCA to negotiate and execute an amendment to the existing memorandum of understanding to enable BCA to carry out the provisions in the LAWA settlement. And today we have Ian Monte that will do the presentation. Ian?
Good morning, Commissioners. How are all of you?
Good morning.
Right?
Good morning, Ian.
Well, hello. So again, my name is Ian Monte, representing the Bureau of Contract Administration, Office of Contract Compliance, and am here to speak on agenda item 2 regarding the Memorandum of Understanding, otherwise known as the MOU, between LAWA and BCA for the Expanded Living Wage Ordinance and Worker Retention Ordinance Contract Compliance Services. So, the Los Angeles World Airports, otherwise again known as LAWA, has requested for BCA to perform expanded compliance services pursuant to provisions within an agreement between LAWA and the Service Employees International Union of Service Workers West. This agreement was heard and approved by LAWA's Board of Airport Commissioners on Thursday, February 3rd, 2022. Within their agreement were additional provisions that LAWA requested for BCA to perform, which have been specifically outlined on page 2 of the corresponding board report to this presentation. As the designated administrative agency for the city's living wage and worker retention ordinances, BCA has been serving LAWA in this capacity since 2011, has no issue supporting LAWA's compliance services expansion. However, for BCA to move forward with services expansion for these new provisions, the current MOU covering BCA's existing living wage and worker retention related compliance services provided to LAWA must first be amended, and this current MOU will expire on July 1st, 2023. Thus, the Bureau of Contract Administration does make the two recommendations to the Board of Public Works that Commissioner Garcia stated, and I'll briefly just state them again. One, to concur with the provisions of the Los Angeles World Airport settlement relating to the Bureau of Contract Administration, and two, to authorize BCA and its director to negotiate and execute an amendment to the existing memorandum of understanding to enable BCA to carry out these provisions within the LAWA settlement. Along with myself, we have members of LAWA that are here, and also Danya Manisian representing the City Attorney's Office for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Now, folks, thank you for being here. Good morning. Appreciate your time and your presence. Is there anything you want to add, or do you want me to go to commissioners and you're here for questions?
I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm Samantha Bricker, representing LAWA, and I just want to say thank you to Danya and John Reamer and the BCA staff. Everyone worked very cooperatively with us. We've been involved in negotiations for the last few months and have really developed a fantastic working relationship, and we look forward to amending the MOU and continuing to work with you to implement these provisions.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Bricker. So just hang on a few minutes for any questions the commissioners might have. We'll start with Commissioner Calosa.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for your presentation, Mr. Monte. Just had a question mostly about process. So in this case, you're asking us to approve this, I know, over a year ahead of time because you're going to negotiate with LAWA directly after this. Is that typically the process for these types of agreements and MOUs, or does it come back to the board after negotiations so that we can see the details? Because what's in front of us right now is just the authority for you all to proceed, and so we don't actually see any details because you have to get to that, I know.
So I'll start if Danya wants to chime in after, by all means. This is typical when we need to make an amendment or want to enter into a new memorandum of understanding. We first come to the board to request the authorization to negotiate and execute. And then once we have done that process, we bring the completed MOU back to the board for your review and approval, and we will then get into the particulars that are within that particular document.
And then what's the timeline for you all bringing that back to the board? Obviously, we know you referenced the 2023 deadline, but when would be the earliest that we could see those details from your discussions with LAWA?
So I would imagine, because I know that, and LAWA can certainly speak on the timeline for themselves in terms of, because this piece with BCA is a part to a greater whole with their agreement as it relates to the modernization of the airport. For this particular piece, there is a desire to get this going sooner than later. So I would imagine that we would come back before the board in the next few months with a completed MOU. And the reason that I mentioned the 2023 is to speak on the existing MOU. The new MOU would obviously supersede that, and it is anticipated that that MOU will have a 3-year window and will expire 3 years after it is executed.
That's helpful to understand what that means. And the piece here, and maybe I'm not sure if, I guess the term that you're using in this item is BCA is referring to it as a settlement. Can you elaborate why that specific legal term is used? I just want to understand if there's a deeper issue here that maybe would be helpful to understand for context, since we don't often interact with the living wage ordinance as much at the board, since it's approved for many years at a time.
I'm happy to jump in and answer that question if that's okay. We have engaged in settlement negotiations with SEIU over the last several months, and it's pertaining to the environmental impact report for our airfield and terminal modernization program. which is an EIR that was conducted and certified by our board. And SEIU filed an appeal that was heard by the City Council. As a result of that activity and subsequent settlement negotiations with SEIU, we did reach a settlement agreement where they are not going to be filing litigation against the EIR, and in return, we have a settlement agreement that outlines several provisions. The BCA provisions are part of that settlement agreement, but there are many other provisions that are not pertaining to BCA that are part of that settlement agreement as well. And they address issues that were brought up during the environmental impact report process, such as transportation and air quality issues. So this settlement agreement is a comprehensive settlement agreement. The BCA portion is solely, a few provisions in that overall settlement agreement. But in order to enact those provisions, we need to amend the MOU with the BCA because they have jurisdiction over labor compliance issues for the airport. So that's why we're here today, to make sure you're all aware of those provisions and to let you know that we will be working in partnership with BCA to enable us to enact those provisions that were in the settlement agreement.
Okay. Thank you. That's really helpful, and I appreciate you adding that background, Ms. Bricker. And I know it's included here as an attachment. It's like one of the transmittals, but if I can just request too from our team from BCA just to make sure to include these really important details in the board report too. Like I said, we don't interface with a specific issue, this ordinance often in our board, and so when you use things like settlement, which is a legal term, it really prompts me to ask these kinds of questions so we fully understand what we're voting on, and knowing that a piece of it went to the airport commission, a piece of it went to city council, and then now it's at Public Works. It's really hard to track and follow the process about who's approving what, so would appreciate making sure that that detail is included in the report. And if it's there and if I missed it for some reason, do let me know. But I don't think I saw it, just so I could understand what happened. And then my last question is, since this has to return to the board, is that something that needs to be included as an action that we need to take, so that's clear that you have to return to the board for that approval once you undergo and finalize negotiations?
Is that a question for me in terms of is an action?
Yeah. But also, let me see, Dr. Campos, is this something that we should include as in third recommendation?
Yeah, let me look at Executive Directive number 3, Commissioners, while you deliberate. I will double check. I believe this is subject to the mayor's approval since it's an MOU with a proprietary department. If you can give me about maybe 30 seconds, I'll pull Executive Directive 3, so that would require an amendment to make it subject to the mayor's approval.
Okay, thanks. And I'll go ahead and yield the rest of my time while Dr. Campos looks that up. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. I appreciate your questioning. We'll go with Dr. Davis. Dr. Davis, any questions on this item?
In terms of the agreement to have BCA to assist the airport in compliance with the provisions of the settlement agreement, are there any other areas of role and responsibilities that BCA will undertake in this new amended proposed contract? And if in fact there are some extensions of their role and responsibility, what are those areas that they will now undertake that they have not done in the last contract?
I can speak to that, or Ms. Bricker wants to, or Danya as well wants to chime in on this, by all means. So with the expanded duties, and it's listed in the board report, but I will specifically state them here. There are 4 areas in which BCA's services will be expanded. So the first of which is to conduct audits of at least 3 companies per year to determine compliance with the living wage ordinance and the worker retention ordinance. And this is going to be prioritizing companies whose workers have filed complaints alleging living wage and worker retention ordinance violations. And the difference between this and what we do currently is this is more of a strategic enforcement arm where we are going to be conducting proactive audits, whereas currently we're complaint driven with our living wage and worker retention ordinance efforts. The second is going to be providing 1 hour of training to workers of certified service provider companies each year to provide information on their rights. Yes? Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying something, Commissioner.
No.
So again, to provide 1 hour of training to workers of certified service provider companies each year to provide information on their rights under the living wage and worker retention ordinances and how to report violations. BCA will also be involved in conducting interviews and outreach with workers at LEX on a regular basis, focusing on living wage compliance and worker retention issues. And finally, BCA will be working with LAWA to help implement a program to supplement labor compliance outreach to workers at LAX by expanding its citywide community outreach assistance program to LAX for the first time. So these are 4 areas of expansion that BCA does not necessarily work in this capacity right now at LAWA, that we will be performing once again the MOU is completed, and the MOU will have this information listed specifically on what we're going to be doing and who's going to be doing it by way of the positions that LAWA will be funding. Ms. Bricker, Danya, by all means, if I missed anything or anything you'd like to add.
No, I think that was a great rendition. I would just reiterate that all of these are within the purview of BCA, and what we're doing now is really trying to be proactive, and instead of just waiting for complaints to come in or waiting for workers to file issues, we're trying to get out and be proactive and let people know what their rights are, what the rules are ahead of time, and give people that information. We have 55,000 badged employees. We're a city almost unto ourselves, and we want to make sure that we have people present who can share this information with our workers, make sure they know what their rights are, and make sure that we're really being proactive with employers so that they are following the rules of the city. So this is really to get out in front of things and not wait for complaints, but to be proactive in doing this, doing this type of outreach and doing this type of enforcement at the airport.
Great. And so these services will be provided, they have been expanded and will be provided for a proposed extension of 3 years, that these areas of implementation will take place in collaboration with the airport. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. And I think that hopefully this relationship, I know, has been a fruitful one for BCA in terms of the service delivery that we provide in general to the city, but in particular to the airport in terms of helping you reach your goals and objectives. And so for that, I think that it's a very effective collaboration that we are able to help make this happen so that you can meet the challenge and the demands over the next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Villegas, any questions?
Thank you for that. I actually appreciate my colleagues' questions and appreciate the background that Ms. Bricker gave us. The board letter wasn't enough to get that information, so I appreciate that. I don't have any other questions. I was going to ask something similar, what my colleagues asked. So I am good with this. Maybe I just have one question. I wrote it down just as I was listening to Ms. Bricker. Who, if you can just generalize, who's actually impacted by this? Is it all of the employees? Is it a certain category of employees?
That's a great question. I mean, we've been working primarily with SEIU, who represents a lot of lower wage workers. For example, those who push wheelchairs in the terminals, those who help with catering trucks, those who operate our equipment on the airfield. That's primarily who SEIU represents. However, we really want to make sure that we're sharing this information with all of our workers at the airport. And so it's not just limited to SEIU. We're really making sure that we're pushing this information out for those who work in the airport. So that could be concessionaires, that can be people who work in our retail establishment, it could be people who are working on the airfield. I think that's why we've really tried to make this as broad as possible for BCA to have the ability to go in there and share this information, do the training, and make sure the workers know their rights. So we think that's important across the board.
Okay, I appreciate that. That's all the questions from me. Again, I just appreciated the questions from my colleagues and just that background information. Yeah, I too was, I didn't understand the word settlement. So, I really like that you explained that. Would have been helpful just in the beginning, but thank you for being here to answer those questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. We'll go back to Dr. Campos. Were you able to get some kind of clarification on Commissioner Calosa's question?
Yes, I was. Madam Chair, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. The Executive Directive number 3 does require any MOU or MOA between a proprietary and a city department to have the mayor's approval, with the assumption, and I would need Mr. Monte to confirm this, whether the mayor has or has not approved the MOU. The MOU before you the item before you is to make an amendment to the existing MOU. There is Article 7 of the existing MOU, which is transmittal number 1, page number 7, that does indicate that parties upon mutual consent can amend this MOU. So therefore, Executive Directive 3 would not apply, with the assumption that the mayor has already approved this. This would need to be confirmed by the Bureau of Contract Administration. If the mayor has not approved it yet, then yes, we would make a recommendation to amend this item subject to the mayor's approval. If the mayor has already approved, then there is no amendment required. Now, to get to the question of Commissioner Calosa, whether the board would want to see the amendment before it's actually executed, then your board has the discretion to amend the item, recommendation number 2, after the word execute. You can add in subject to the Board of Public Works approval and the amendment, and that would allow BCA to negotiate, but prior to executing, they would have to come back to the board to execute the MOU amendment.
Okay, so 2 things we have to kind of clarify. One, Ian, can you let us know if the mayor has approved or not approved this MOU yet?
I am 90% sure, but because I'm not 100, I'm gonna go back and verify, and I'll get you that information today.
Okay.
You need it in this moment?
Yes, in order to move it forward and make a decision, yes.
So Linda McGlinchey is on the line. Linda can speak to this. Her hand is raised.
Sure, great. Linda, I don't see you, but I'm sure you're here.
Let me have her turn on her video cam. Linda, I'm going to add you to the spotlight.
Good morning, Linda.
Yes, I believe, as Ian said, that the current MOU has been approved by the mayor because EB3 would have been in existence when it was negotiated, and we could not have executed it without that approval.
Got it. And I see Dania shaking her head too, so I imagine you're concurring with Linda?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I believe we originally wrote this board report with the recommendation to requesting that you approve our ability to negotiate and execute the amendment due to LAWA's interest in our implementing it as soon as possible.
Understood. So I think Commissioner Calosa is asking if we can have it here before us before it actually gets finalized, just to listen to all the different negotiation or what is now BCA subject to do. Commissioner Calosa, are you okay with moving it forward like this, or do you want it to come back? I know that LAWA has a time. Is it an urgency? What is the time frame you have for this to be implemented to the LAWA folks?
Most of the BCA provisions would start in fiscal year 23, which would be our fiscal year, which is July. So I do think we have some time. We've already started preliminary negotiations with BCA on the level of effort and the number of FTEs that would be needed. So, I do think there's time if it needs to come back to this commission to see what the amendment is. Because I think that we would probably start in earnest, after July, implementing these provisions.
Understood. Commissioner Calosa, you want to add anything?
Yeah, maybe I can just ask a point of clarification, because I think it was Mr. Monte who said it would be coming back to the board. But now it's sounding like it wouldn't be because of the action that as written in the board report. So I think that's a point of clarification. So from what Ms. McGlinchey, you just said that you're actually wanting authority not to come back to board.
Correct. That was the way it was originally written. Obviously, if the board wants us to come back, then we would, the recommendations would be amended now to direct us to come back after negotiation.
And, I'm not trying to delay the implementation of anything at LAX. I know there's a lot of time-sensitive projects that are hinging on this agreement. Just want to, I guess, last question for me is, giving the authority to Mr. Reamer and, of course, the BCA to execute the agreement, is that part of our standard, process and protocol for these types of agreements?
Affirmative.
Go ahead, Linda. It's not something that we normally ask for. It has been done in the past.
Okay, so this is an exception to what we normally do.
Yes, and as I said, that had to do with our understanding that LAWA would need us to be able to, say, hit the ground running in July.
Okay. I'm interested in seeing what my colleagues think, because it's an exception to the process. That's why I ask. That said, I know Commissioner Davis is our liaison for BCA, so I'm also comfortable with it, proceeding as written, with the understanding that, of course, their BCA liaison, Commissioner Davis, is apprised of any urgent matters that may come up. Or even just a report back to the board, just so we understand, knowing that we're giving the authority on the front end and not seeing the details of what's negotiated. But don't want to delay any projects that are
well. I think that. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dr. Davis.
I think that there is a opportunity for us to have them negotiated and bring it back to the board for confirmation. That's the process that we always use, and I don't think that process will hamper either the airport or the BCA from engaging in their work. So as soon as they have it, we should process it through. And I don't know, how many days will it take for them to put this arrangement together?
That's a great question. That was on my mind. Do we know, is it this process of you negotiating on the terms will take?
Why don't we ask the person from LAX?
I'm waiting for them to answer. Is it going to take a month, 3 months? What are you looking at?
Well, as I said, we've already started preliminary negotiations. I think we are looking at level of effort, how many folks are available, what type of staff would be needed, what level of staff. Those are things that we're working on now. We've already had, again, a preliminary. So I think within the next couple of months, we would be able to negotiate and bring that back to your board. I don't see that would have any impact on our schedule or problem,
right.
For us to bring that back. So
yes. Let's do that. I didn't know it was going to take that long. I was going to say, could we have it together by 2 weeks, but if it's going to take a month, that whenever you have it ready, please let Dr. Campos know, and it will be scheduled immediately within the compliance of our regulations, and we will take care of it. Absolutely.
Agreed.
Right.
We'll make a note, Dr. Campos, that whenever this comes, we expedite it on the agenda so that we make sure it gets on the agenda right away. Was that satisfied also you too, Ms. McClinchy? Okay, got it.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Anyone else? I mean, I think that should be fine if you get that. This also pushes you both to kind of get the negotiations going and started and settled right away. So I think it's a good process for all of us. And thank you, Commissioner Pelosa, for sorry. I'm in City Hall. The fun part of being at City Hall. And so thank you, Commissioner Pelosa, for making that note. I really do appreciate it. And so, Dr. Campos, I take it we have to add a line to our recommendation number 2?
Yes, Fernando Campos again, Executive Officer. Just wanted to clarify if your board wished to modify or amend recommendation number 2, the execution of the amendment would be subject to the approval by the Board of Public Works. If your board opted not to amend the report as proposed before you, then I can definitely work with the Bureau of Contract Administration and add the agenda item back to your agenda. However, it would not be a requirement or a condition of this report. So the board has 2 options. You can amend it and make the execution of the amendment subject to the Board of Public Works approval, or 2, you can approve it as proposed, and I can work informally with the Bureau of Contract Administration, and we would add that item back to the agenda, but with no time restrictions, no conditions.
I think I like number 1, which is subject to the Board of Public Works approval. Colleagues, what do you guys think?
Agreed.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Davis. So we'll go with adding the subject to the Board of Public Works approval. Perfect. Okay. Sounds like everybody's in agreement with that, and we'll expedite it as soon as we have it here with us then.
Madam Chair, we would need a motion to approve the item as amended.
Perfect.
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Calosa. Dr. Davis, do you want to take roll? Dr. Campos, you want to take roll call?
Absolutely. The Board of Public Works is now considering item number 2 as amended. A motion by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Calosa. We'll start the voting tabulation at this time. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This item is approved as amended. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time, and good luck negotiating. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. We are taking care of business today. We are moving along to item number 3. Item number 3, sorry, before I start that, Dr. Campos, did you have another question, or is just your hand still up? I just want to make sure.
I will lower my hand, sorry.
No worries, just making sure. Okay, so let's take us now to item number 3. Item number 3 is a memorandum of understanding by the Department of Water and Power. This is a permanent relocation of its facilities on public property. Recommending the Board of Public Works to 1, approve the execution of the Memorandum of Understanding with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, in which LADWP provides $7 million annually towards relocation costs for certain Department of Public Works projects for 5 years, starting July 1st, 2022. And 2, delegate signature authority to the city engineer to execute the MOU between Department of Public Works and the Department of Water and Power. Thank you to the BOE team, and I see Mr. Vandergriff here and also Mr. Habib from Department of Water and Power. Good morning to you all. Okay, Greg.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. This is the second version of the MOU between the Bureau of Engineering and the Department of Water and Power. On January 31st, 2014, the board delegated authority to the city engineer to execute the first MOU between the Department of Public Works and the Department of Water and Power. In December of 2014, that MOU was executed between the city engineer and the general manager of DWP. It was a 5-year MOU, and it ended on June 30th of 2019. The MOU did contain provisions for extensions, and it's been extended for the last 2 years on 1-year terms only. The MOU actually establishes an account from which LADWP reimburses itself for the relocation of interfering DWP facilities involving capital improvement projects for the city of Los Angeles. Basically, this stems from the provisions of the Los Angeles Municipal Code Section 62.01A, wherein the board has the authority to direct utilities to relocate their facilities when they come in conflict with public improvements. However, DWP pointed out that the provisions of this section could not apply to it since it does not apply to the city of Los Angeles, and DWP is a member of part of the city of Los Angeles. So since BOE concurred that the municipal section was not really clear as to how it related between the two departments, the provisions were set up for this MOU and the previous MOU. The new agreement provides annual funding in the amount of $7 million for capital improvement project relocation costs. Previously, it was $5 million. The project cannot use this funding. It must provide the relocation funds from other sources. There are limitations on projects for which the funds can be used, such as they must be projects located in the public right-of-way. They also cannot have any other sources of funds. In other words, a project must be funded by the city of Los Angeles, not from special funds or grants or other sources. The use of the MOU funds typically reduces costs from other city sources, such as the general fund, and therefore it provides a savings to the city. The MOU and its attachments identify some of the projects previously funded, as well as allocations for the proposed MOU. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Vandergrift, for your presentation. And Mr. Habib, I take it you're here for questions, or do you want to add anything to Mr. Vandergrift's presentation?
Yeah, I'm available if questions are needed, but I did want to say that this negotiation has been about a year's process, and really want to thank the collaboration and the leadership at the Bureau of Engineering, from Deborah Weintraub, Ted Allen, Greg Vandergrift, of course, Ray Sisson, just an amazing team and their staff of working together to find ways that as the city we can work together to reduce costs, reduce the time of projects, and to collaborate as sister agencies and departments should. And it's been a really, really excellent collaboration, and this is a result of that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's really something that we strive for here at the Board of Public Works, to really collaborate and work really well with other departments. So good to hear that. Thank you. I'm going to go with commissioners asking questions, so just stay tuned for any questions. And I'll start with Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. Good to see both of you today. I don't have any questions. I know that, we've been briefed on this item and just got a little bit of information earlier this week. I'm glad that we're doing this MOU and that it's coming to fruition and that our everything aligned. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Dr. Davis?
What is the timeline again of this MOU in terms of when we will be implementing it?
So it will, if executed now, then it would actually begin with the July 1st of 2022, and it would last for 5 years. It does contain provisions for 1-year extensions, up to 5 of those extensions. So it could theoretically last for up to 10 years.
Okay, and what are the elements of the agreement in terms of the individuals involved? What is the details of that?
I'm not quite sure I understand your question, Commissioner. Are you asking how we would go about implementing this MOU?
That is correct.
Okay. So what we do is we contact DWP when we have a proposed project, such as a street widening, and we notify them that we're doing this work, and that work may have a potential impact on their facilities. DWP then reviews the project, identifies any impacts to their utilities and what those costs would be. They notify BOE of that impact. BOE then determines if the project itself is eligible for use of the MOU funds based on the provisions in the MOU. If it is eligible to use those funds, then we send a letter to DWP authorizing them to use those funds for the purposes of design and construction of the relocated facilities. Usually that work's done prior to construction of the CIP project or in conjunction with the construction of the contractor. Then once the project is complete, we tabulate up the expenses and determine what, if any, funds are still remaining for that particular project. Those would go back into the fund for use on subsequent projects.
Okay, thank you for explaining that process to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Davis, for your questions. I think Commissioner Calosa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the briefing, Mr. Vandergriff, and nice to see you, Mr. Habib. I don't have any questions on this item. It's an important piece to moving our work forward. We know that relocation of utilities is very costly part of a lot of projects, and oftentimes, as we've heard, contributes to some project delays, unfortunately. So I think this agreement in advance and this coordination is going to be really critical as we start to see more and more projects, especially leading up to the Olympics. So thank you for your work on this. And then just also wanted to get confirmation here. I think you sent us an email, Mr. Vandergriff, recently, but this MOU was also approved recently by the Board of Water and Power as well, correct?
Yes.
Should have.
Yes. As yesterday's board meeting of our commissioners approved this on consent, and are fully supportive.
Okay, great. Thank you for that confirmation. Just want to get that for the record, and so my colleagues are aware that the DWP board also approved this. But I don't have any questions. Great teamwork to both departments, and looking forward to seeing all the good work that comes out of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. Is there a motion to adopt item number 4, moving it forward? Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, we have a motion moved by Commissioner Villegas and a second by Dr. Davis. Should we take a roll call?
Absolutely. We'll start with you, Madam Chair. This is to approve and adopt item number 3.
4. Yes, I'm sorry. I said 3, but it's really, I said 4, but it is 3. You're right. Yes. Aye.
Thank you. President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa,
Aye.
and Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right. We're moving along, guys. Thank you, Mr. Vanderbilt and Mr. Habib, for your time. Have a good week. All right, that now moves us now to item number 4. This item is in Council District 13. This is a memorandum of understanding for Los Angeles Department of Water and Power North Outfall Sewer Rehabilitation Unit 15 project. Recommending the board to 1, approve the execution of the memorandum of understanding between the Department of Public Works, Bureau of Engineering, and the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power to give the BOE permission to use certain areas of the Department of Water and Power's receiving station G and transmission line right-of-way number 4A for the purpose of constructing access pits, providing laydown areas, and associated activities for the North Outfall Sewer Rehabilitation Unit 15 project. And 2, delegate signature authority to the city engineer to execute the MOU between the Department of Water and Power, BOE, and the Department of Public Works, BOE, and the Department of Water and Power for approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Okay, Mr. Jimenez, that was a mouthful. Can you tell us what you're doing?
Happy to do that. Good morning, everybody. Udi Jimenez, Chief Real Estate Officer, Bureau of Engineering. So this project is planned to rehabilitate almost 5,000 linear feet of the NOS, which is a sewer that is almost 100 years old and needs rehabilitation. There's a number of projects that are related to the NOS that are taking place. Generally, the NOS runs along the LA River, and much of the property that runs along the LA River has been used and owned by DWP for transmission lines. This project actually goes through one of the yards that is owned and maintained by DWP. The project will be using DWP property for staging and for actual pits on the site. And DWP has agreed to allow BOE to use a portion of that yard for the project at no cost to BOE. And this MOU is memorializing the agreement and clarifying the roles and the responsibilities of DWP and the city and BOE as part of the project and the construction or the rehabilitation of the NOS 15. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. I have a quick clarifying question. Is this a new MOU, or is this something that we've done in the past before?
This is a new MOU that's specific to this project.
Okay. And we are delegating our authority to the city engineer to do this and negotiate. So have you guys negotiated all the terms on this MOU already?
Yes. So we clarified the roles and responsibility. It's at no cost to BOE, and the condition of the site was memorialized to be returned back to its prior to the condition of the site. It will be restored by BOE after the project is concerned, and so all that's been negotiated already.
Okay, and just last question on the recommendation number 2, and this might be maybe Dr. Campos or Tania. You have here on the last sentence, BOE and the Department of Water Power, after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. What is that? And I'm sorry if I don't know, but I need some clarification on that. Tania or Uri? Yes.
Standard operating procedure for us is whenever we enter into any contract or agreement with others, it's reviewed we request that the city attorney review our documents as to legality and form.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure I knew what I was voting on to. Okay, that's all for my questions, really. I'm going to pass it over to my colleagues. So we'll start with Dr. Davis. You're on mute, sir.
Thank you. No questions for me on this item.
Thank you. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. Thank you for your report. Just a quick question. You know, on this piece or this stretch of the NOS, can you just provide just a little bit more context? You said they're going to be rehabilitating it. I realize that most of our, these are huge pipes that go underground. Do you know what's wrong with it? Do you know what's going to be rehabilitated?
Yes, so what happens is you would think that sewers wear out at the bottom where the flow it normally happens, but the way they actually deteriorate is the gases that are formed in the sewer. And what happens is the gases kind of float up, and the deterioration happens actually from the top down. So the first thing that goes are the lining. The first lining is like tiles, ceramic tiles. And then sometimes they have bricks, and then they have cement. So it actually deteriorates from the top down. And what happens is that when it deteriorates, there creates a sinkhole. The dirt actually falls into holes and creates sinkholes, and that's how the sewers actually deteriorate. What the city does, it relines the pipes once they clean them out of all the debris, and then they put a new liner inside the existing pipe. And so once that's done, the pipe is good for another 100 years. And so this NOS has failed at other places. I don't know if you heard that there was a significant failure near 6th Street. And so it's a priority project for the city to rehabilitate the NOS because of its age and condition throughout the alignment.
Okay, I appreciate it. Just having a little bit more background now on Hyperion. I know that these go all the way to Hyperion. This one does. So I do remember the 6th Street sinkhole. I think it was at the end of the year last year. So thank you for that clarifying information, and it was really helpful. No more questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Agreed. It was really helpful to hear your explanation on how it actually deteriorates. So thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Commissioner Calosa, any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions from me. Thank you for your detailed explanation and report, Mr. Jimenez.
All right, Mr. Jimenez, you are getting out of this one fast. Hearing any other question, is there a motion to adopt this item?
I'll second.
Okay. Dr. Davis has put in a motion, second by Commissioner Calosa. Dr. Campos, should we call roll call?
Absolutely. We'll start with the voting now. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas. You're on mute.
Aye.
Thank you. This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this item to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Jimenez, thank you for your time. Have a good week. All right, moving us along to item number 5. This is in all council districts. This is an amendment to number 1, a task order solicitation SN-95A, Larry Walker Associates, Inc., specialized expert services for total maximum daily load and regulatory support concerning wastewater. This is recommending to the board to 1, authorize the director and general manager of LA Sanitation and Environment or her designee to issue amendment number 1 to task order solicitation SN-95A to Larry Walker Associates, Inc., parent contract C-124334, to extend the term of engagement from February 15, 2022 to July 22nd, 2024. The approval budget cost ceiling of $1,350,000 remains the same. And today we have Mr. Baharians. Mr. Baharians, is that your name, or who do I have?
My name's Jonathan Ball. I'll be presenting, but Zora Baharians is with us today.
Okay, and you guys are both from sanitation, right?
That's correct.
Okay, beautiful, perfect. All right, so we read it into the record. Go ahead, Mr. Ball, Mr. Baharians.
All right. Well, thank you, and good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for your time. My name is Jonathan Ball. I'm with Bureau of Sanitation. I'm an environmental supervisor in the Watershed Protection Division. And today, as you described, we're just seeking a time extension for this TOS, SN-95A. So this is a very instrumental TOS in our compliance with total maximum daily loads and other water quality standards that apply to our wastewater treatment plants. There's 22 TMDLs that affect the city of Los Angeles. 17 of those occur in watersheds that have discharges from our wastewater treatment plants. That would be like Los Angeles River and the Santa Monica Bay. So this is a very important task for us. We have about $460,000 that remains unspent, and basically we're just requesting more time to spend that money. We have some really interesting and pertinent studies that are lined up. I'm happy to go into those in more detail if you like. But yeah, I guess if you have any questions, Zora and I'd be happy to answer those.
Great, thank you, Mr. Ball, for your presentation there. I'll ask commissioners. We'll start with Commissioner Calosa. Any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have questions. Thanks, Mr. Ball. Can you share the date when this contract was first executed?
The date I have is the task agreement form was May 22nd, 2019. So that's when we finalized the scope of work and everything with the contractor. And
So-
it's set, I was going to say it's set to expire next week on February 15th.
Okay, so it's first executed in 2018, and then you want
2019, I think, is when we.
Is it 2018 or 2019?
2019 is the date I have. Zora, if,
Yeah, 2019.
okay, thanks.
Okay, so it's 2019, and then the period. So the period of the first contract was for 3 years.
Yes.
Okay, and that went through all the approvals because it's a 3-year contract, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
So in total, we're going to have a 5-year contract that we're extending. Was this a 2-year renewal? Was that originally part of the original contract that we approved?
No, this would be new. I'm losing my screen. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. My screen went blank. I'm not sure what's happening there. Yeah, we're asking for an additional 2 years. This is basically in line with the overall on-call contract that is set to expire in July of 2024. I think we will utilize the remaining funds well ahead of that date. But given the nature of the work, a lot of it's as needed. It's responding to new policies that come up, or new decisions that are made by our regulators, the Regional Water Quality Control Board, for example. So I suppose there could be a situation where we do need to, utilize it up until that date, but we just have 1/3 of the TOS left to spend, and I think it'll be used up before then.
So did was the plan always to extend it, or did something happen where we didn't end up spending all the entire budget before the contract expires next week?
A TOS like this is, it's really we utilize it as needed, and it's really hard to predict how long we will need it for. So in the beginning, we thought 3 years would be sufficient. We had some studies that we wanted to implement. I think in this case, there's a lot of kind of factors that slowed us down in spending that money. One of them would be the COVID pandemic. It just kind of jostled us a little bit. But I think, now we're in a good point to move forward on some of the studies that we were intending to do. Another factor is the regulators, the Water Quality Control Board. They were putting a lot of attention on renewing the MS4 stormwater permit. So a lot of work went into that. Now it's time to focus back on these TMDLs, which are specific, addressing specific impairments in certain water bodies. And some of the TMDLs are due for reopeners, where we look at the assumptions of the regulations and really get into the technical aspects. So I think there's two factors, just the COVID pandemic and all the effects on staffing and stuff like that, but also just kind of the regulatory climate that we've been in. So,
Can you, yeah, that's sufficient. Can you just go over briefly what some of the studies are I know you didn't elaborate on them in your presentation, but could you just share a summary of what you're looking at? And so it looks like you are trying to complete those within the remaining 2-year period of time.
Yes, there's one that's really instrumental that covers 2 watersheds. Actually, we're calling it the sanitation pilot bacteria study. Bacteria TMDLs are a major cost driver in our watersheds, and so that's one of them. We're doing some really interesting testing where we're looking at what are the true factors that cause risk to people recreating in places like the LA River. So for example, there's the 2 rec zones that you're probably aware of in Los Angeles River where people are allowed to kayak and so forth. There are times when the bacteria water quality standards are exceeded there. There's a question out, what is the true risk to health? And we have these fecal indicators that have been used over the years that don't always predict the true health risk. And a lot of it stems from the source of those bacteria. We're really interested in finding out whether the bacteria that we do see is coming from humans, which would imply a greater health risk to people that are swimming or kayaking in the river, versus something that's more natural, like coming from birds or wildlife. There still could be an inherent risk there, but it's really looking at those human sources. And so we have some new tools, and we're utilizing those in some specific situations, like LA River. So that study is just getting launched. We have a work plan that was developed probably over a year now, and now we're at a point we're able to send out field teams and collect these specialized samples, and we're looking at these big questions with regard to health risk and water contact recreation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ball. And I'll leave the rest of my questions to my colleagues, but I just wanted to make one last point that I hope that this contractor shows more improvement in some of their pledge numbers for subconsultants. If this contract were to expire next week, they would not be meeting a lot of their pledge numbers. And so I just wanted to note that for the record, and hope that with this proposed extension, if it's approved, that they actually meet their obligations. And I hope that the rest of my time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Canosa. Noted, and Mr. Ball also hopefully noted on your end too.
Yes. It is something that we're working with them on. I would like to point out that one of the reasons for the women-owned business pledge not being met is one of the subcontractors who was women-owned business. They sold their business, and so they lost that standing. But then, kind of on the flip side of that, the prime, actually, Larry Walker and Associates, actually has got certification as a women-owned business itself. So even though it's not reflected in the percentage participation numbers, actually in that particular category, I think, if you consider the fact that the prime qualifies as that, I think that should be somewhat satisfying in that regard. But,
okay, thank you for that. That was a good clarification. All right, anything else, Commissioner Calosa? Okay, no problem. We'll go with Dr. Davis. I think I asked you already, did I?
Not yet. Okay, so the remaining money is 1.3 million, basically, is what we're approving an extension on. Is that correct, sir?
Well, 1.35 million is the TOS ceiling. So we've spent about 2/3 of it. The amount remaining is about $460,000.
I see. And you would like until 2024 to exhaust that remaining money?
Yes, and again, I don't think we'll need that much time, but every once in a while, you know, we will save a little bit of it just for these kind of as-needed regulatory issues that come up. And the reason that date was chosen is that's when the on-call parent contract expires. So.
Sure. The issue in terms of the details as to why we were unable to be successful in our outreach, you said and you mentioned something about women, but were there other areas, other variables to which we often look to have inclusion of people involved in this work other than just simply the gender issue? Are there other disadvantaged veterans and others that we often embrace when we try to do this work moving forward?
Yes, definitely. With the disadvantaged veterans, that's one that I know we have a really good sub on board that qualifies there. And I think, you know, the pledge amounts are listed in the board report. I think what we'll see as we roll out this study, a lot of the initial planning for it was performed by the Prime, and a lot of the technical and field support and kind of specialized niche areas actually will be completed through some of these subcontractors that fall into these different categories under the business inclusion plan.
So you're saying the extension will give you additional time in which to help further strengthen the challenges that we've had in terms of inclusion.
Yes,
as well as the opportunity to spend the rest of the money, right? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Mr. Ball, is the contractor on the line by any chance?
I don't think so. I did not request that they show up.
Okay, maybe we were just wondering, maybe they had more clarification on these business inclusion numbers and the plan moving forward. Okay, we'll move on. Thank you, Mr. Ball. And Commissioner Villegas, any questions?
Thank you for that. Appreciate all the background information that you've provided to my colleagues. I don't have any questions. I just, I'm familiar with the work that the consultants are doing, and that just know that it's important information for the Bureau to gather this information. Just a lot of best management practices or new practices that are out there for some of the TMDLs. That information feeds our stormwater program with the Safe Clean Water program. As we see many projects before our board to execute contracts to implement some of that. So I think that the technical piece that Mr. Larry Walker and Associates are doing is helpful information to feed into that. It's basically like the if we can go in steps, it's the first step. And then it'll progress into what we would have as a project. And it's feeding us information. Nonetheless, it doesn't take away from the contracting percentages that we always aim to, get to. So to the extent possible, please just relay our commissioner's sentiment on that. But thank you for your work. I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Do you want to respond, Mr. Ball?
I just hear what you're saying. We'll relay that onto the contractor for sure. Yeah.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ball and Mr. Baharians. Does anybody want to put a motion forward?
I'll move the item.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll second it. Dr. Campos, there's been a motion on the table by Commissioner Villegas, second by myself.
We'll take the roll call at this time. We'll start with the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. This is for item number 5. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this to go forth with?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ball and Mr. Hines. Have a good week.
Thank you. Dr. Campos, can you mute my microphone? Like I said, I can't see my screen anymore, so I don't know how to do that from my end.
I will do so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, we're going to take a 5-minute rest break, and we will be back at 11:33, 11:38. Does that make us 5, right? 11:38. Start the second part of our meeting. I'm waiting for Dr. Campos to run back to his office. I saw him on the hallway.
I am here. I'm just going to
Okay.
start the audio recording for you. Just give me about 5 seconds to get confirmation. And we do have confirmation now. Madam Chair, would you like me to reestablish quorum for you?
Yes, please.
Good morning still. Friday, today, Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. It's 11:41 a.m. We are reconvening the Board of Public Works, taking roll call and reestablishing quorum. We have Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, Commissioners Caloza and Villegas. Madam Chair, you do have a quorum.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We are now moving on to item number 6. This is a item in Council District 4 for a tree removal on 4011 North Glenavin Drive. Glenavin Drive. I hope I said that right. 1, recommending the board to find that this project is categorically exempt from under Section 15303, Class 3A, and Section 15332, Class 32 of the State Environmental Quality Act guidelines, and that there is no substantial evidence the proposed project will have significant effect on the environment and is in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. 2, find that none of the exceptions to the use of the categorical exception as set forth in Section 15300.2 of State CEQA guidelines apply. And 3, specify that the Bureau of Street Services Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is custodian of the documents or other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And 4, review and approve the request for a fee permit to remove 3 protected trees and shrub, which include 3 California black walnut trees and 1 Toyon. Tree replacements are required. And with that, I believe we have a public comment on this item, Dr. Campos.
That is correct, Madam Chair. We do have one caller on the line, Diana Nicole. If you can please unmute your microphone at this time by pressing *6. The Board of Public Works is now considering item number 6. You will have 2 minutes to speak under this item. Please go ahead. And thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Commissioners, Diana Nicole here. In order to adopt the tree removal, you have to find that this project is categorically exempt under CEQA. And I'm here to tell you, for the record, that this project is not actually categorically exempt under CEQA. While the impacts to walnuts and toyon trees are to be mitigated in accordance with the city's protected tree ordinance, the replacement of individual trees does not immediately mitigate the loss of individual trees or the loss of habitat. Walnuts are considered sensitive regionally and even at the statewide level. The loss of these trees and their habitats is already considered significant regionally and statewide, nor does the tree ordinance account for the temporal loss of individual tree canopy. Therefore, unusual circumstances exist that preclude the use of categorical exemption, namely that the project will have a significant effect on the environment due to the removal of walnut trees and due to the removal of walnut habitat. This is the conclusion of a Superior Court ruling this week for the same kind of project that you approved over a year ago erroneously. And here as well, staff has not shown you that the tree replacement program would mitigate any significant impact from the tree removal. So it's not categorically exempt, and if it's not exempt, you cannot adopt this tree removal. Again, the words I said on the paragraph just above this is about staff not showing you that the tree replacement program would mitigate significant impact from the tree removal are not my words. Those are the words of Judge Strobel in Superior Court this week. So I urge you to continue this because it is not categorically exempt. There are protocols that have to be observed in these situations like the walnuts that haven't been done here, and you're leaving yourself open and the city open to another challenge.
Minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Diana, for your comments. Mr. Buñuelos, you're here to present on this item today?
Yes, good morning. Yes, I am.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Vice President Garcia, Commissioners. My name is Hector Banuelos. I'm with the Streets LA Urban Forestry Division. And we have before us is a request for a fee permit to remove 4 protected trees, which include 3 Southern California black walnut and 1 toyon shrub. Just for the record, the council district is actually council district 1. I believe you read number 4. There was a typographical error there on the cover sheet there.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a request for 4 protected trees. In order for the applicant to construct a 3-story single-family residence there at 4011 North Glen Alvin Drive in Council District 1. This is in the Mount Washington LaSalle Park Pacific Plan area, and the project was reviewed and vetted and approved by Department of City Planning. The project is construction of the single-family dwelling on 2 vacant lots that are going to be combined into one lot, measuring approximately 9,789 square feet in total. And the home will be a 3,888 square foot home, which includes 1,297 square feet of garage area there. So it's actually a 4-story structure. They're kind of placed into a hillside. This is the hillside has steep to moderate slopes. And in order to construct, they will be required to remove 4 protected trees of 9 protected trees on the property. There are actually going to be 5 Southern California black walnuts that remain on this. Actually, there's going to be 4 walnuts and 1 toyon when it's all said and done, after it's all said and done. So there is room to replant the trees at 4 to 1. They're replanted in clusters because there's existing trees there, and due to the infrastructure, after it's all proposed construction, it's all the room that really there is available to plant. But there is room to feasibly plant the replacements on the property. And if approved, the applicant will be planting 4 15-gallon toyon shrubs and 12 15-gallon or as large container size available of the Southern California black walnut. These trees will be guaranteed through the establishment of a 3-year period through a bond, and with the assistance of the Bureau of Engineering. This council district office, the Community Forestry Advisory Committee, and Department of Environment were informed of the tree removal permit request. We did not receive any objections or any notice of concerns from the respective council office for this project here. The Department of City Planning did produce a notice of exemption and did determine that the project is category exempt under the Class 32 of the State Environmental Quality Act guidelines. That concludes my presentation. I'm here to address any concerns or questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Buñuelos. I like how you always represent your department with your shirts. Very nicely. Thank you. I'm glad you also said that this has been categorically exempt, right? Confirming that?
Yes, that was at the Department of City Planning. Yes, they determined the project is category exempt.
Okay, got it.
With the sequel.
Okay, thank you. We'll ask commissioners questions. I'll start with Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. Thank you for your report, Mr. Buñuelos. I don't have any questions. These are not easy decisions to make, and we do acknowledge that. Thank you for being thorough. I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Villegas. Commissioner Calosa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your report, Mr. Banuelos. I just wanted to follow up on one of the issues raised by the caller. Thank you for giving public comment, but just wanted just clarification whether or not we're familiar with the ruling that she referenced. It sounds like it was recent. I believe she said this past week from Judge Strobel about tree removal proceedings. Do we understand and know that citation that she referenced and whether or not that has any bearing with what's before us today?
No, I'm unaware of the decisions, the recent decisions that were made by the courts. This is all new to me. And so, of course, I'll be following up. I'll be trying to investigate, see what I can find out about that for future reference. But on this case, yeah, and I don't know the circumstances behind that other case neither. So I really don't know what that is all about.
Okay. And Miss, maybe I'll ask a question for Ms. Isagira. Do you, are you familiar with the case that was referenced by the caller, whether or not, we should be proceeding today? And I asked that because it sounded precedent setting, but again, I don't have enough information, and I know it's something that Streets LA just referenced. They still need to look further into.
Right, I'm not familiar with it at all either. So, and I'm unfortunately not the CEQA expert. So this is the first time that I'm hearing about it as well.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Isagira. I'm curious to hear what the rest of my colleagues have to say, Madam Chair. But I guess that would be my only reservation about this, is just wanting to make sure that there's nothing that was recently decided by the courts and that would impact what we're voting on today. I know City Planning has already written their letter that this is exempt from CEQA, but maybe would love to understand if my other colleagues have other concerns, but that would be my one concern, is just making sure that we're in line with what we're voting on today.
Oh, agreed. Okay, we'll put that as pending as we ask the questions. And Ms. Sagiri, if there's any way that we can look that up right now, if not, just to get some clarification on that before we move forward. But I'm going to ask the rest of the commissioners their questions, and then maybe somebody can provide us some kind of clarification around that before we end today.
Having no information on the case, it's not going to be possible for me to look that up right now in this meeting.
Okay, got it. All right, well, we'll go through questions, and then as a board, we'll figure out if this is something we want to just hold until we have clarification, or do we want to move it forward? But moving along with our questions. Dr. Davis.
So, to the end of the concern raised by my colleague Calosa with regard to this new alleged ruling that apparently is suggested that conflicts with our decision, is so nebulous at this point because no information has been given to us, and our city attorney, whose area of review it is, has not had an opportunity to look at it either, and that we all are responsible for the information that we gather. And it would appear to me that the caller could have forwarded to us, since they had it before we did, obviously, forwarded that ruling to us so that we could have reviewed it. But as our business goes on a day-to-day basis, we make decisions, and of course we're in compliance with the law, so that when we make this decision, if in fact it is counter to some other decision, then we will certainly be in concert with what the prevailing decision is. But to date, we have not been provided, even by the caller, a copy of the said decision where we could have reviewed it and had some kind of new information. So having said that, in making this decision, we'll move forward as we always do on other policy issues. And when we are confronted with what a change has been, which we've not really been formally notified, other than the discussion we had with the caller, and no evidence of any validity of what was stated to us in writing from the court. So that's my response to it. We do make our decision, and as we do in all policy issues, we will certainly comply with whatever legal decision we discover from the court in the future.
Agreed. Thank you, Dr. Davis. I think I asked everybody questions. So, colleagues, and Dr. Campos, please tell me if I can do this. Can we add, if it's possible, add a subject to court findings on our number 4 to approve?
I think we by routine, we do this as a normal
Yeah, I almost feel like,
process.
well, there's Commissioner Villegas.
Do we want to let Dr. Campos? answer?
Yeah, I don't know what, Dr. Campos, are you here?
Yes, I am. Fernando Campos. If the board were to decide to make this subject to the court ruling, I would need a little further clarification in terms of once the court ruling is known, whether your board would like to have this item come back or continue, or is it just stating the fact that we know about the court ruling?
Can I ask a point of clarification to our attorney? Attorney, don't we as a routine matter of business, whenever we are presented with a change in the law, comply with said information as a matter of routine business? Don't we normally behave in that way as a governing body?
I'm sorry, do you mean do we comply with the new change in law? Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
when we are presented new law, we comply with it in our decisions as a matter of routine business, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. So this is just routine business for us. When someone confronts our attorney that the law has changed, we will, not only on this project, but on every other thing that we do, comply. This is what we do, and this is how we do it. Not on just this case, but it's a matter of routine business.
Correct, exactly. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you, and thanks for that, Commissioner Davis, for that clarification for our city attorney. We don't know the case. We don't know any background information, and I wouldn't feel comfortable placing any kind of amendment or any language to this.
Okay.
We don't know any facts, and it just doesn't make sense, to include that in this item.
Okay, understood. Commissioner Calosa, are you okay with moving it forward as is? And go ahead.
Yeah, no, I wanted to hear what my other colleagues' opinions were, and I raised the issue because it was raised by our caller, and wanted to better understand what our knowledge was of anything that we may have received that was precedent setting, but doesn't sound like we have enough information to let it impede the business of the city and the board at this time. But of course, I have full confidence that Mr. Benuelos will do his best to track it down and share any relevant information with the board if it does impact anything related to protected trees and any tree removals. So I'm fine with the item proceeding.
Agreed. And so I think I do like that too. I think we can move forward. Mr. Bañuelos and Ms. Isaguirre, if there is something that we need to pay attention to, I'm sure you'll bring that to our attention, right?
Yes, absolutely. We're constantly monitoring things like this, and that's the first I've heard of that. So, like I mentioned earlier, I have no knowledge of that ruling, nor do I know of the circumstances that may surround that ruling. So, but we'll look into it. Urban Forest Division will look into that, and if anything applies to any future request, then we'll process it accordingly.
Understood. And Mr. Bañuelos, just as a quick follow-up, can you let us know via email through Dr. Campos or individually on whether that ruling had anything to do with this item, or we're completely clear? Just so that we don't have this lingering thought in our background.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Does everybody feel comfortable that way, commissioners?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on what we're doing and what's happening on the ground? No? All right. Is there a motion to move this item forward?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Ms. Villegas. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, we have a motion on the table by Commissioner Villegas and second by Dr. Davis.
Yes, this is to adopt item number 6 with the conditions listed in the report. We'll start the voting tabulation at this time. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
and Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Great. To the caller, we will look into it and we will get clarification. So thank you for your time and being here today. All right, colleagues, this is now taking us to item number 7. Yes, item number 7. This is a contract award in Council District 14. This is from Spinello Infrastructure West, Inc. for North Alpha Sewer Rehabilitation Unit 10, 101 Freeway to Cardinal Street. This is recommending the board to 1, declare Spinello Infrastructure West, Inc. first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Spinello a contract for this project for the amount of $33,519,257, and 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. And we have Mr. Arrington here, and also I thought Ms. Monterrosa was going to do the presentation as well. She's been quite patiently hanging out with us. Mr. Arrington, you are on mute. We cannot hear you. Nothing's coming out.
Yeah, I think he has technical difficulties, but I think I can go ahead and start.
Okay, we'll highlight. Can we highlight Ms. Monterrosa, please? There you are. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Monterrosa, all you now.
Good afternoon. My name is Teresa Monterrosa, and I am the project manager for the North Outfall Sewer Rehabilitation Unit 10 with the Bureau of Engineering Wastewater Conveyance Engineering Division. And this project will rehabilitate 5,013 feet of 48 and 54 inches semi-elliptical north outfall sewer from the intersection of the 101 freeway and Mission Road to the north of the intersection of Gibbon Street and Cardinal. About 75% of the sewer pipe alignment extends along the Union Pacific Railroad right-of-way, crossing railroad tracks at 4 locations. Now, this portion of the NRS alignment also crosses the San Antonio Winery and Caltrans right-of-way. Multiple outreach to the stakeholders were done, and mitigations are included in the contract documents. Special heavy coordination includes Union Pacific Railroad, the Southern California Railroad Agency, San Antonio Winery, Yak Church, UPS, and GEM. Now, the sewer is over 90 years old and in very poor condition. Council District number 14 supports the project and has approved the rush hour exemption for Mission Road. 8 bids were received on November 17, 2021. Spinello was the first low bidder with a bid amount of $33,519,257, which is 36.16% lower than the city's engineer's estimate of $52,506,100. Based on the range of bids submitted, we believe this bid is reasonable, and Spinello submitted an affidavit missing the required corresponding notarization, but which was later rectified. And the assisting city attorney, Mr. Edward Jordan, concurred that this clerical error be treated as a waivable defect. So based on this above, we are recommending that the board find Spinello Company is the first low bidder to be the lowest responsive and responsible bidder to award this project, this contract.
Thank you, Ms. Monterrosa. Mr. Arrington, any additions? Were you able to figure out your mute situation? No. We'll try again. Maybe you want to call. Okay, we'll figure it out. But Commissioner is just letting you know we do have the contractor on the line. Is that you, Mr. Saldivar? You from Mr. Spinello?
No, Abdu, I believe, is the contractor. I'm from sanitation.
Okay, good. But we do have the caller on the line, I was told. So if there's any questions to the the contractor on the line, if there's any questions to him, colleagues, please feel free to ask as well. Thank you.
Also,
sure, Ms. Mendoza, go ahead.
Yes, I also want to show the board a short video of the project overview. And I will go ahead and connect right now and share my screen.
Okay, perfect.
Please, if you can confirm that you will be able to see it and hear it. Unfortunately, once I share it, I won't be able to see my screen anymore.
Okay, will do. We're not seeing it.
Teresa, we can see the video, but we cannot hear it. If it has a sound, we are not unable to hear it. What you can do, Teresa, you can stop the video and then get out of the, close the share screen feature and then try again. That should do it.
Okay, I will go ahead and stop sharing and
Yes.
share it again, correct? Okay,
Yes.
stop sharing and let me share it again. Sure, I'm selecting the right. Okay, maybe I select. Okay, share. And I will start again and let's see if it works. Okay.
Take yourself out of mute if you're on mute. Monterosa, maybe that would work. You're gonna have to narrate this video then.
Yes, can you hear me now?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay, so maybe there's something with the video that it cannot be heard. So I will go ahead and right now, as you can see on the left, in green line is our NOS Unit 10, our North Outfall Sewer Unit 10 alignment in green. In purple is another 24-inch sewer that needs to be abandoned and will be incorporated in this project as well. As you can see on the left side, it's crossing part of the San Antonio Winery, and now it crosses inside railroad tracks. And this particular area is called the Taylor Junction, and it's been owned by the Union Pacific Railroad Company. As you can see, our sewer alignment does curve in several places, and you can see we actually crossing several railroad tracks. So all the way in the background, you will be able to see the Union Pacific yard. It is right now remodeled. And we're showing here this Taylor Junction is unimproved, but it's being used by several trains. Those trains have been Union Pacific, but also Amtrak and also Metro. Right now, yellow are one of our picks. So it's right in between the railroad tracks, and we have obtained from the Union Pacific a space for construction and also a permit from them. So in the background, you can see the yard. It's just been recently, which means it's barely last year in May has been finished with the remodeling. And we also have our sewer alignment crossing their private access roads, and we have obtained also the construction areas for our pits from Union Pacific. And all the way in the background, I don't know if you see, there is a little bridge, that's the Cesar Chavez, and behind that is the Freeway 101. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Otherwise, I will go ahead and stop the video.
Thank you, Ms. Monterosa. We'll ask our colleagues right now for questions, so stay tuned for any other questions. But you might want to stop sharing your screen so that we can go back to our, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, colleagues, any questions on this item? I'll start with Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. Thank you for your report. I appreciate it. It was really thorough. this is a big project, and for $33 million, I can see how, intricate it is. I have questions just surrounding, is it just Union Pacific that you needed to require permits to get on?
No, we also required Caltrans and DOT traffic control and approval, which has been done. And also those traffic control approvals have been concurred by the Council District Office.
Okay, and so then you all have them before this work gets started?
Correct.
Okay, and then will included in those permits, are the flaggers also a part of it?
Correct. We have, that's the reason, one of the reasons our bid is high, because we have a big allowance for the flags, for the submittal review of UP and SCARA, which is the Southern California Regional Authority Agency. Mm-hmm. So that includes that, and inspection also from their side.
Okay. And it appears that the NOS will be, is it changed locations?
No, it's a whole alignment, but it is curving. It is curving, unfortunately, underneath the railroad tracks.
Yeah, well, it also goes underneath LAX in portions, and not this one, but others. Okay, that's really helpful, and and how long is the project gonna last?
With the construction completion days is 1,018 days, which is about 2 years and 9 months. So we put it in for no more than 3 years.
Okay.
Because
and I noticed just all the subcontractors as well, and all the categories, for their subcontractors and their OBE or SBE. Okay, I don't have any other questions on this project. Or no, I do have one other question. So is this alignment, how deteriorated is this one?
It's in poor condition. We have a lot of missing tiles. So in downstream of our alignment is the North Outfall Sewer Unit 9, and as you know, that already had sinkholes. Okay. And so it's of urgent need to be rehabilitated. Okay.
All right, and is your bid take into consideration inflation over the last 5 to 6 months?
It has taken consideration to meet of the construction.
Okay. All right, and is this piece right here what will be redone or fixed, or forget what the correct terminology is? Is it gravity based? Are there any pumps?
No, a whole sewer alignment is gravity based.
Okay.
So, and again, the whole pipe will be rehabilitated, the whole alignment, and trenchless.
All right, I appreciate it. I don't have any further questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. I'm sorry, Commissioner Villegas. I was looking at Commissioner Calosa to call her next. Commissioner Calosa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thanks for your presentation, Ms. Monterrosa. I thought you did a great job explaining the project. And I'm sorry, Mr. Arrington, that you have tech issues. I know that's unforeseen, and you wanted to explain the project as well. I don't have any questions on this project. I just wanted to note that I appreciate that these bids came in low. I think that's always a good sign, positive for the city to save some dollars. Being 36% low, this project, of course, also has a project labor agreement, which I'm assuming is why Mr. Monte is on screen. Maybe for something else entirely, but I thought that was great because obviously it's such a large project that we want to make sure that there's a PLA attached to this. And the other thing I wanted to do was also just commend BOE and BCA and everybody involved on this project. I know you had a lot of questions on this project when you're putting the documents out to bid. my colleagues can see how complicated this project is, being that they even went so far as to have a drone video to show where the alignment is and where the project is, because it crosses over so many different parcels that have their own individual levels of authority and permits required, as we heard. So it's a super complex project, and I know we are just getting started, but I want to at least thank the team so far for all the work that they're putting in. And of course, Mr. Zaldivar as well from LA Sand, thank you for all the great work and partnership between all our three bureaus and getting this initial start of the project out of the way. No further questions for me, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. And Dr. Davis, any questions?
Not really, just observations. I think I heard her say that the duration of the project will be some approximate 3 years, somewhere in the ballpark of that. And I'm very happy to hear that we do have a project labor agreement on it, and that there will be some impact upon those who are in the area to be included in, obviously, through the project labor agreement. I've always said that I hope in the future, as we continue to do this emergency work, that we'll put a pipeline of work and apprenticeship folk in line. Hopefully, the project labor agreement will be one such vehicle by which we can get people involved in this sewer emergency work. We do so much of it, and it's so many millions of dollars that to put some short-term and long-term plans in place where we can empower those workers in Los Angeles to be included in it would serve us well as an agency that provides construction and dollars that impact this economy. That is one area of challenge that if we could meet that demand, we would make a big difference. So I thank you so much for this proposal, and we look forward to your implementing the construction in this area. Now, I'll finally say that Spinello certainly has been a company with whom we've done business before as well. So we look forward to our moving forward.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Davis. Appreciate that. Anything else anybody else want to add? Mr. Arrington, were you able to solve your technical issues?
Yeah, hello, Commissioners. Trust you can all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I'd like to thank Ms. Monterosa for her presentation. This has been her, her love and joy and care project for the last 2.5 years, just laboring through the various issues, and she's made significant efforts to ensure that the project goes smoothly. So I thank her for that. But yes, we're looking forward to a successful project, and we look forward that once it gets completed, that we have a longer life of the sewer and more effective and efficient collection system. For that, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. I'm glad your mic worked after all. That was really good. And Ms. Monterasa, good luck on this very complex and high comprehensive project, and a very high volume and number as well, meaning funding. So all the luck to you, and we're here to support you as you move along with this project. So good luck to the BOE team. With that, is there a motion on the table to move this item forward? I'll take a motion by Calosa and second by Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, do we want to call roll call?
Absolutely. Let's start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Arrington, Monterosa, and Mr. Sandoval, and to the contractor on the line. Thank you for your time, and get those sewers ready for us. Bye, everyone. Have a good week. All right, colleagues, that's moving us up along to the item number 8. This is a council item in Council District 15. This is a contract award for PCL Construction, Inc., Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant, Final Tank Skimmer System Upgrade CIP 5255. recommending the board to, one, declare PCL Construction Inc. first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award PCL a contract for the project for $9,532,500, and two, authorize the president or two members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. And with that, today we have Ethan Wong here presenting on this item. Ethan?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ethan Wong with the Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. So the board report before you is recommending the award of our Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant's final tank skimmer system upgrade project to PCL Construction. So background on this project, at the plant during secondary treatment, we have 18 secondary sedimentation tanks that basically take the wastewater influent, and separation of solids happens, or the final separation of solids happens in this tank, where solids either float to the ground or the lighter solids will float to the top. So these floatable solids are removed by the skimmers that have been in operation for 30 plus years now. And due to the environment of operating in both a marine and wastewater environment, they are subject to corrosion and have been severely corroded over the years, to the point where these skimmers do not move anymore and have to be moved manually by staff to perform their function. So in this project, we will be removing the existing skimmer systems at 17 of these secondary sedimentation tanks. The 18th tank is used as a backup storage tank. And we will be installing an actuated skimmer system that will automatically move the skimmers as needed for removal of the solids. We will also be removing and replacing 17 existing 14-inch diameter butterfly valves that allow inflow into the tanks and can also shut down and isolate the tanks as needed for operations. We will be removing and replacing 17 high-pressure effluent spray systems, removing the existing launder covers and replacing with new aluminum launder covers, remove and reinstall existing diffusers, and install 18 linear feet of 6-inch diameter scum piping per tank, installing 17 fluid level scales, install instrumentation as needed to monitor and control these tanks as well. One of the big scopes of work for this project is to isolate and bypass each tank, as this is a working plant and needs to be in service during the construction phase. To facilitate operations at the plant, only one tank will be out of service at a time to replace the skimmer system. So a very sophisticated bypass will be used by the contractor. So in this project, we pre-qualified the top three contractors that submitted proposals to us to do this bypass work. Those three contractors all bid on the project. They were PCL Construction Incorporated, Rice Lake Construction Group, and Myers & Sons Construction. The low bid received was $9,532,500 from PCL Construction Inc., which was 9.92% lower than the city engineer's estimate of $10,582,500. In review of PCL Construction's bid, who is the low bidder on the project, they passed all of their outreach effort requirements. There was, as far as the business inclusion program for this project, an anticipated participation levels of 4% minority business enterprises, 2% women business enterprises, 25% small business enterprises, 8% emerging business enterprises, and 3% disabled veteran business enterprises. PCL pledged participation levels of 0% MBE, 1.5% WBE, 0% SBE, 0% EBE, 0% DVBE, and 35.74% OBE. These levels are above the mandatory subcontracting minimum of 25% of the total construction value. This project is also will have a project labor agreement included in the project. And with the review and findings, staff recommends the board declare PCL the first low bidder to be the lowest responsive bidder on the project and award the contract to PCL. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding this report. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Wong and Mr. Thibault. Don't think I'm saying it. Lance. How about we just say Lance? Thank you for being here. I'm going to go with colleagues for questions. We'll start with you, Dr. Davis. Any questions on this item?
Don't really have any questions on this particular item. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. I appreciate your report as always. I don't have any questions either. Thank you.
Great. And Commissioner Calosa, any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions. I appreciate the low bids as always coming in. Thanks for the continued partnership between DOE and LASAN on this. And I think is it Thibodeau? Did I pronounce that correctly? Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Thibodeau.
That's close.
Oh, how do you pronounce your name?
Thibodeau. I don't pronounce the H. Some people with a similar name may, but I don't.
Is it French?
It's Creole from Louisiana.
All right.
Okay, nice. All right. Look at that. We learned all about you now. All right. I don't hear any other questions on this item, and I also alluding to Commissioner Calosa's point. Yes, very nice to see that it was underbid, and I think it was 9%. So that's pretty good actually from the city's engineer estimate. Good to hear that and see that. All right, colleagues, any motions to bring this item forward?
So moved.
I'll second. So that's Dr. Campos. We have a motion on the table. Moved by Dr. Davis, second by myself.
Yes, we'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation. This is for item number 8. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
Aye. This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Mr. Wong and Lance. I'll try with your last name again. Have a good rest of the week.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Colleagues, moving us on to item number 9. This is an item in Council District 11. This is the change order number 118, Van Nuys Trenchless Services, Inc., Venice Dual Force Main and Venice Pumping Plant Generator Replacement Project. Recommending the board to 1, authorize the city engineer to issue change order number 118 for the Venice Dual Force Main and Venice Pump Plant Generator Replacement Project to install a bypass at the Waterview diversion structure. And that is it. That's all you want us to do? Mr. Oh, another great last name. You're going to have to help me on this one.
A good challenge. McCurcheon.
McCurcheon. Okay, Mr. McCurcheon, that's all you really want us to do is to authorize the city engineer to issue change order number 118, right?
That's it. Yes, that's
all
it.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. McCurcheon. I'll say it.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So as we just heard, we're asking for the board to authorize the city engineer to issue change order 118 to install a bypass at the Waterview diversion structure. A little bit of history. The Venice Dual Force Main project started construction in February 2017. Due to various needs, the city and the contractor worked together to redesign some parts of the south half of this project. In September 2019, change order 21 changed tunneling and open cut trench work to just a single 1,700-foot tunnel section in the south end. This was in part to reduce the impact to traffic flow on Vista Del Mar. As a part of this change, the contractor requested to utilize a different bypass design than that on the contract documents. A conceptual design was provided by the contractor and approved by BOE, which instead of bypassing the structure, diverted the flow within the structure. The concept was that flow would be diverted through one half of the structure, while the other half was demolished and rebuilt, and then it would be flipped over. The flow would be diverted to the new half of the structure, and the other half would be demolished and rebuilt. In January 2022, the contractor determined a bypass is required in order to complete the project safely versus the diversion concept, and to protect project personnel and the community. Therefore, the contractor decided to revert to the contract drawings, back to the contract drawings to install a full bypass of the structure instead of the diversion method. So as part of Change Order 21 from back in 2019, the city took a credit of $584,000, which was the amount of the bypass bid item, and we paid the contractor for the new diversion design in the amount of $311,000. So there was a cost savings initially. Now we are asking to issue Change Order 118 to compensate the contractor for the not to exceed amount of $280,000, which will be a total compensation equal to the amount of the original bid for the bypass, in about $584,000. So essentially, this will undo the Change Order 21 portion related to the bypass and diversion design changes. That's it. Thank you.
Great, Mr. Javort. I'll try it that way. I will try your name again. I don't have any questions. Commissioner Villegas, any questions on this item?
Thank you for your report. It seems like it's a complicated project. I just wanted to ask, is the is this going underwater? Is the bypass going to be going underwater?
I'm sorry, I don't know if I understand are you asking is the flow being bypassed?
Yes. I don't think I asked my question correctly. My apologies. The bypass, it looks like is it crossing a channel?
Oh, I see. No, what the works we're specifically talking about in this change is not connected to the channel. Another portion of the project has already crossed underneath the channel and installed a tunnel.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
And so then on your figure in the board letter, where is the bypass at?
So it's at the furthest south end, so I guess to the right in the image, where Waterview and Vista Del Mar intersect.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. I got it. All right. I apologize. I didn't see it says open trench work replaced by tunneling. Got it.
A lot of information.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Don't worry, we've had so many sewer, non-sewer, trenchless, all kinds of stuff coming to our board today. So, understood. Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Dr. Davis, any questions?
Yeah, explain to me again, we had $500,000 on the table and we gave $300,000 of that to the vendor, to the contractor, and there was a remaining approximate $280,000, whatever the figure is around the 200,000 area. And then you recently said that then we gave him the balance of that, I thought, which was whatever it was. So we owed him that as a down payment to move forward. Please explain that whole situation to me as it relates to that.
Sure. So as part of Change Order 21, we took a credit in the amount of about $280,000 because the diversion work was going to be less expensive.
Right.
And now we're reverting back to the original contract bid item amount of a total of the 584,000. So we're just giving back credit back
To him,
back to the contractor to
continue to work as we validate this motion. We're giving him the additional dollars to continue the work. Is that right? When you say we're giving the credit back to him, so we're giving him the other $200 and something thousand based upon the fact that he's going to pursue additional work to complete the project, right?
Oh, I see. So in doing the original bypass design, it's a more involved construction method.
Sure.
So we agreed to pay them the initial amount of the bid in order to do it. So we're paying them the difference between the 311,000 and change.
Right.
When we made the change to the diversion plan.
Right.
And the original bid item amount. So yeah, I'm not sure I understand what you mean by we're giving them a.
Okay, no, I'm trying to better understand your description of what we're doing with that money. So that's why the question. Okay, so okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Calosa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions on this item. Thank you for your report, good work. It was nice to see you. So we're wrapping up the work here on the domain force very soon. So looking forward to seeing the completion of the project soon. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right. I don't hear any other questions. We'll move this item forward. Is there a motion on the table to move this item forward?
So moved.
We'll have a motion by Commissioner Villegas, second by Commissioner Calosa. Dr. Campos, want to take a roll call?
Absolutely, and this is to adopt item number 9. We'll start with the vote. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to send this forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Javork. See you. Have a good week.
Thank you very much.
You're right. Okay, moving us along to item number 10. This is an AFE for the Southern California Gas Company. This is for the Bureau of Sanitation. Oh, and I went dark. Give me a second here. Okay. City Hall issues, you guys. All right. Okay, this is an AFE for the Southern California Gas Company. This is for the Bureau of Sanitation, and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $80,534.50 to increase unencumbered funds to pay outstanding Southern California Gas Company invoice for the billing period of June 1st, 2021 through July 1st, 2021. And that is it. Miss Nicole McIntosh, miss. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. This is to encumber funds to pay the Southern California gas bills from the last fiscal year. This money would be for covering the gas usage transmission fees for our bioenergy facility, which is the cogeneration facility at the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant. And just for a little background, the cogeneration facility runs on a maximum 40% natural gas to 60% digester gas, and the transmission fees are based on the usage that natural gas that is required at the time. And so when we have variable usage, sometimes it is a little bit more, sometimes it's a little less. So the June 2021 gas bill exceeded the original encumbrance, but we did not get that bill until after the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, thank you, Ms. McIntosh. That was a pretty good explanation on the AFE. Any questions, colleagues? I'll go with Commissioner Villegas.
I don't have any questions.
Just
Thank
Dr.
you. Just have to
Davis.
pay the bills.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Davis, any questions?
None for me on this item.
Got it. And Commissioner Calosa?
No questions for me. Thank you, Ms. McIntosh.
Great. Is there a second to my motion to move this item forward?
Second.
Second, Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, we have a motion put in place by myself and second by Dr. Davis. Can we do roll call?
Yes, we can do so. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa,
Aye.
and Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. This is for item number 10. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this item to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. McIntosh, that was easy.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Have a good week. All right, moving us along to item number 11. This is also an AFE for the State Water Resources Control Board. Bureau of Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $20,766.91 to increase the encumbrance to pay an invoice for services during April 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2021. And Mr. Troy Eze is here today. Mr. Eze, please, ready when you're ready.
Hi, good afternoon. So first of all, I believe on the title of the agenda, it doesn't read correctly. We presented this to Commissioner Good a few months back, but LASAN and the Office of Accounting is requesting an encumbrance from the Sewer Operations and Maintenance Fund in the amount of $1,266.91 to pay for invoice services from April of 2020 to June 30th of 2020 for the site cleanup recovery program costs to the State Water Board. There will be no impact on the general fund. So just to give you some background on this project.
Mr. Eze, just a quick question on the recommendation. What was incorrect? Was it the year 2020? Because I hear
So
2020.
as it reads, it states that we're requesting authority for expenditure in the amount of $20,766. So we're basically just asking for encumbering $1,266.91 to pay for services from April to June of 2020.
Okay, so let me just double check with Dr. Campos what we need to do, because I have here April 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2021.
No,
That's
it's
not right.
2020, yes.
Okay, give us a second. Dr. Campos, can we make those corrections on the recommendation?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. And you also said something about the amount, Mr.
Yeah, it makes, the way I see it on the agenda, it makes it seem as if we're asking for 20,000, but we're asking for $1,266.91.
Yes, please. That doesn't read that. Okay.
Madam Chair, this is Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Let me go ahead and pull up the item and see how the item was written to see if it was a typographical error from our end or whether the item was submitted erroneously. So if it is the latter, then we may have to continue the item, actually withdraw the item and resubmit it as a new revised item. Another option is to amend it on the spot. Let me go ahead and pull the item up and see where the error may have occurred.
Okay. Colleagues, we'll get to questions right now while Dr. Campos visits that. Commissioner Calosa, any questions on this item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions on this item pending the clarification we received from Dr. Campos. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Villegas, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Thank you. And Dr. Davis, any questions on this item?
None for me on this item either.
Okay, we'll hang on tight to see what we can do, Mr. Eze.
Dr. Campos is verifying the numbers on this item, right?
Yeah, there is. Either we move it forward or we can just, reschedule it for a week from now until you guys or 2 weeks until you get all the paperwork correct.
Got it.
Yeah. This is Dr. Campos, Executive Officer. I am verifying the AFE document that is before your board. It is an adjustment amount, so the amount that's being proposed to increase the AFE This is AFE number 22760736M is by $1,266.91, giving it a new adjusted amount of $20,766.91. So therefore, the item before you can be approved as amended to authorize the increase of $1,266.91. It is correct in the document, however, the submission from the Office of Accounting indicates $20,766. Right. They erroneously omitted the adjusted amount, so it's basically the adjusted amount. So,
okay. And what about the due dates? Can we change that to 2020?
Let me double check. I'm on the document itself now. I'm just verifying if sanitation included those dates. It would be easy. It's not indicated on the AFE itself, but it is for budget year 20. Mr.
Yeah,
you're saying that it's April 1st, 2020 to June 30, 2020?
Correct.
Okay, we can make those amendments if your board would like to adopt this item as amended. Again, the two amendments would be to approve the increase of $1,266.91 for an adjusted total of $20,766.91. And the second amendment would be to modify or revise the date to April 1st, 2020 through June 30, 2020.
Okay. Collins, I'm okay with that. Does anybody have any objections? No. Hearing none? Okay. Hearing none, you want to put a motion on the table to move this item forward?
So move.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. I'll second. So there's a motion on the table, Dr. Campos, to adopt the item as amended by what you stated from Commissioner Villegas and second by myself.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation at this time. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
Thank you. This motion is adopted and carries unanimous, and this is to adopt item number 11 as amended. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Sorry, quick question. Sorry. Will the language be revised once we get the approved signature?
Absolutely. It must.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes. And Mr. Eze, did I fail to give you the rest of the time to do your presentation, or were you done?
Oh, if it's approved, I'm done.
All right. I didn't think
Thank you.
No problem. But if you practice, then I want to make sure you execute your practice. Okay, got it.
Thank you.
No problem, Mr. Eze. Have a good week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, colleagues, moving us to item number 12. This is for all council districts. This is also an AFE for the County of Los Angeles Department of Public Works. For the Bureau of Engineering and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $22,000 to pay for an additional fee for the services associated with completing the 90% plans for the LA Riverway San Fernando Valley completion project. And Mr. Arrington, I take it you're here on this item? You're on mute again. Whatever you did the last time, do it one more time.
You can just press *6 on your landline.
Can you hear me now?
Wait.
You might just want to put your computer on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, with no echo. Got it. All right, Mr. Arrington. We're ready for you.
I apologize for that. Yes, this item has to do with seeking cumbersome funds for payment of expenditures for this particular permit that we're seeking to obtain through LA County Department of Public Works in regards to the review of this project. The project is pretty much about 90% done, and now we're circulating the plans through the corresponding agencies that need to review the contract documents. And so part of that, of course, is going to go to LA County Public Works as the project goes along the LA River. And so with that, we've identified that we need an additional $22,000 to pay for the fee. This board in August of 2019 approved authorization for $30,000 initially. However, as the scope of the project increased and the work effort by LA County has increased, the permit fee has gone up. So with that, this would cover that additional fee of $22,000. And in light of what you just saw regarding the previous presenter on the fee that was presented, I think we're okay in this one because it looks to me it's a completely different IFE number. The original one had a slightly different number for $30,000, and this one is for 22. That brings up to the total of $52,000 that we need. So from what I can tell, I think we're okay in this item in that regard.
Okay, Mr. Thank you. Do we have to make any changes on that, how it's stated, or are we comfortable the way it's stated right now?
I think we're okay, Madam Chair. As you look at the item and you look at the attachments, the one that the board approved on the 14th of 2019 does outright allocate the $30,000, and this one will allocate the $22,000, and they're both two different numbers, so I think we're okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go with questions. Colleagues, any questions on this item? No questions from Commissioner Villegas. Any questions, Dr. Davis?
None from me.
Got it. And Commissioner Calosa, any questions from you?
No questions for me, thank you.
Got it. No questions from anyone. Mr. Arrington, is there a motion on the table to move this item forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Calosa. Dr. Campos, there's a motion on the table by Commissioner Villegas and a second by Commissioner Calosa. Can we move this item forward?
We'll go ahead and take the voting tabulation first, and then we can go from there. Let's start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa,
Aye.
and Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to move this forward forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right, colleagues, moving us forward to number, Mr. Arrington, thank you for your time and have a good week.
Great, thank you.
Got it. All right, colleagues, moving us on to item number 13. This is in Council District 5. This is a release of stop notice, Vulcan Materials Company, Machado Lake Pipeline Project, Eastern Reach. Vulcan Materials Company, Western Division, is transmitting a release of stop notice in the amount of $7,833 for concrete work in connection with the Machado Lake Pipeline Project, Eastern Reach. The primary contractor is OHL USA Inc. And there is no one on this item, right, Dr. Campos? It's just administrative.
It's an administrative item, that is correct. It's just
okay. So is there a second to my motion to move this item forward?
Second.
Second. Dr. Campos, we're ready for roll call. There's a motion on the table by myself and second by Commissioner Villegas.
Yes, we'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye on that.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Calosa.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right. Moving us along to item 14. This is also in Council District 5. This is a release of stop notice for Cemex Construction Materials Pacific LLC, Machado Lake Pipeline Project, Eastern Reach. Cemex Construction Materials Pacific LLC is transmitting a release of stop notice in the amount of $24,508.99 for concrete work in connection with the Machado Lake Pipeline Project, Eastern Reach. The primary contractor is OHL USA. There's no one on this item either. It's just administrative. Is there a second to my motion to move this item forward?
Second. Go ahead.
Dr. Campos, we have a motion on the table by myself and second by Commissioner Calosa. Can we do roll call?
Absolutely. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Calosa.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right, colleagues, now we are down to our oral reports. Right. We're going to take 15 and 16 together, read them into the record, and then we'll let the bureaus start. And then I see here that we have all bureaus here, right, Dr. Campos?
That is correct. From the Bureau of Contract Administration, we have Linda McGlinchey, Engineering, Greg Vandergriff, Street Services, Belinda Chow, Sanitation, Ollie Veazey, and Street Lighting, Evelinda Payne.
Got it. Okay, we'll start. I'll read into the record and then we'll just take 15 and 16 together. This is an oral report, Bureau of Engineering quarterly report regarding community level contracting from October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021. With that, we'll start with BCA. Ollie?
Actually, that's Ms. McGlinchey will present for BCA. However, I do see
I'm sorry,
Monte
that's right.
hand up. Not sure if Ms. McGlinchey wants to defer to Mr. Monte.
Actually, we will both be doing presentations, so I will defer to Ian for the moment. Thank you.
Got it. Sorry about that, Linda. I called Ollie when I was supposed to. And I just noticed let me call 16, which is item number 16 as well, which is community level contracting status update report. Just wanted to make sure we got that on the record. Okay, Ms. McGlinchey, you go first.
All right, well, I'll go first for Ms. McGlinchey, and then I will tag her in. So unless, Ollie, you would like to do BCA's piece since I had asked you for it. I just saw you laughing. All good. All righty. So again, good now afternoon to the board, commissioners, those representing the bureaus. Again, my name is Ian Monte, representing BCA's Office of Contract Compliance. And so what I'm just going to do really quick is just go through a quick CLC overview, a little bit of history, and then some looking forward stuff. And then I'm going to tag in Linda McGlinchey, who will then give another piece, and then the other bureaus will then participate with their respective reports. So first, the Bureau of Contract Administration, working with the Board of Public Works, we helped develop the initiative for the community level contracting, otherwise known as CLC. And again, for those that are not aware of what CLC is, it is the practice of unbundling large contracts into workable packages to provide small businesses with opportunities to serve the city as prime contractors. And so really what that means is creating opportunities for small businesses of varying degrees, whether it's in construction or some other fields, in this particular instance, construction, of getting opportunities just to serve the city and to help build their portfolio where it will allow them later on to tackle larger projects. And so BCA has continued to lead this initiative and help the other bureaus to identify and work to execute their CLC contracts. A little bit of history about this. Per the Board of Public Works motion that was adopted on Wednesday, May 19th of 2021, BCA was instructed to help provide guidance to assist the Public Works bureaus in creating implementation strategies, plans, and evaluation methodologies for community level contracting. And it is our mission as the CLC initiative continues to evolve and expand. And so as we look forward, unfortunately at this time, BCA itself does not have any CLC contracting opportunities to award or to advertise, but nonetheless, we certainly have always looked forward and continue to look forward to working with the other four bureaus with their existing and potential CLC opportunities, and also continuing to work with the Chief Procurement Officer and their team to help them work to include community level contracting efforts into the overall strategy of the technologies being developed to manage city procurement. And the beautiful thing is that now includes the new Regional Alliance Marketplace for Procurement, otherwise known as RAMP, which will soon replace the Los Angeles Business Assistance Virtual Network, otherwise known as the LA BAVN system. So with that being said, I'm going to turn the floor over to Linda McGlinchey, who will share a few more words.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure this afternoon to share some exciting news. On January 26th, the Economic Development and Jobs Committee of City Council entertained a motion submitted by Council Districts 2 and 4, Council members Rahman and Krikorian, which is now Council File 22-0098. And this motion, it directs the Chief Procurement Office, CAO, and BCA to report back on community-level contracting, specifically the process of establishing a community-level contracting program citywide, review of mechanisms currently in place for monitoring subcontracting activities, and review of all programs aimed at programs and initiatives aimed at boosting small, local, women, and minority-owned businesses in city contracting. The motion specifically points out the Department of Public Works, your board, with our efforts in community-level contracting as being the prime example of what the city can do, and in that respect also acknowledges engineering in terms of being the first bureau to successfully do a CLC opportunity. And with that, I will leave it to the other bureaus to provide their reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McGlinchey. Any questions for Ms. McGlinchey or Ian?
Yes, I wanted to, first of all, thank you both for the report and for the data and information as it looks at what we have done in terms of policy with our governing body, with the City Council, with those initiatives that have been promoted by the council persons, and then also with the administrative work that we have done in working with the various bureaus in the Department of Public Works as it relates to community level contracting. My question is, what can we do to ensure that there is compliance with the spirit of community level contracting when we have innovative ideas coming from our bureaus as it relates to community level contracting? In other words, in the work we do in contract administration, in our work in collaborating with the other 4 bureaus, how can we ensure that we communicate in a way that we help them shape what the real true vision is for community level contracting? In other words, so that community level contracting doesn't end up being something else other than what the vision is. How do we in our role as contract administration do that?
You want me to start, Linda? And then you can, all right, cool. So I think the first piece of that is really just constant communication. And to the credit of the other 4 bureaus, we have constantly been in communication with all of them. We talk on a regular basis. We actually met with BOE yesterday, talking about community level contracting and some of their initiatives. And so just being in that communication and understanding what they're looking at and the ideas that they have, and then understanding what some of their restrictions or provisions may be with some of the ideas of projects or program that they may have that wants to go forward with community level contracting. And so just that level of communication is the first thing. I think the second thing, when you're talking about innovation, it's always being willing to step out and try something new. Understanding, like you said before, what the law is, what the policies are, always wanting to comply with those, but always be willing to step out and try something new. And if we're not sure, certainly ask questions to get the information that we may need to make a conscious decision, but certainly that as well. And the last piece is really just to support the businesses that are out there. The Accessing LA event that is going to happen in a couple of Thursdays is a great example of that, where we're going to have a piece dedicated to community level contracting, where it's letting these small businesses within the city and the county as well, understanding exactly what opportunities are there for them, and to keep them informed so that there's transparency in what we are doing at the Bureau of Contract Administration, representing community level contracting for all, including certainly the Board of Public Works. And so being able to do that really, in my vision, really helps us to ensure that community level contracting happens the way that it's supposed to, and we maintain the vision of it going forward like it was initially sought. Linda, anything you'd like to add to that?
Just that along with what Ian was saying, a lot of it has to do with education, both the contracting community as well as our partners in the other bureaus. I think sometimes they're concerned about the level of commitment for their resources, and so in communicating and educating them on what CLC or community level contracting is, we're working with them and presenting them with options to make it more feasible for them, and help them to realize it doesn't have to be this huge resource drain for them to achieve a community level contracting opportunity.
So that the bureaus then, when they're doing community level contracting, they kind of have a conversation with you about community level contracting idea that they have before they run it up the ladder, because they have to run it up the ladder to various offices in our environment. But they come to you first, kind of like what we do with ethics. We go to them first to make sure that it's within of what the vision is. And they understand and work with you in that way as it relates to community contracting. Is that what I'm hearing?
It's actually a two-way street. We've been reaching out to them on some of the opportunities that we see could be community level contracting, as well as they're coming to us to discuss opportunities.
Right, right. I mean, I know that they have the innovation, they have the ideas. The collaboration is very powerful because you are the agency by nature in our organization that works on compliance. And so through working with you, even though you don't come up with the innovative idea that they have, they do that. But their collaboration with you makes sure that we're on target to target our ideas around the vision of those firms that need to have more inclusion, which is what we're seeking. So, and oftentimes they come from a different place in the room, and what you bring to the table is so valuable to that end. So I think that there needs to be a tight relationship, not to take over what their innovative idea is, but to collaborate with you to make sure that the outcome is what the vision for the program is. I think that's important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any other questions for BCA, Commissioner Calosa or Commissioner Villegas? Got it. BCA, you guys are good. Thank you. Hang on just in case there's any other more questions following up. Thank you, BCA. Now we'll go with Bureau of Engineering, Greg Vandergriff. Greg, are you on the line? There you are. You're on mute, though. All right, sir. It's all you now.
There we go. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be back with you again this day. So the Bureau of Engineering has two programs in progress that provide for community level contracting. One of those is our sidewalk repair program and our small contractors projects. Last October, those contracts were expiring and the board approved an amendment for an extension of those contracts. That amendment is still going through the city's process, so we were unable to issue any contracts for the last quarter or for the following quarter. We do expect to be able to issue some contracts before the end of the fiscal year under that program. The other program that was approved on December the 17th is for our solar photovoltaic and energy storage system projects, and the pre-qualified on-call contractors list for those. Again, we're still going through the process of getting all those contracts executed, but also we're still going through the process of identifying and defining the projects that we can offer to bid to those contractors. So again, we're in progress with the city. We do hope that before the end of the fiscal year, we'll have everything in place to move forward with those contracts. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Vandergriff. Any questions for the Bureau of Engineering, Commissioners?
I just have a clarifying question. On those projects for photovoltaic, are they going to come back to our board once are they going to come back to us to execute the work? Or was that already done? I can't remember.
No, the contracts have not been, we have not actually awarded or put out for proposals any of those contracts yet.
So it was just the RFP that we put out. Okay.
Right. All we did was basically identify a list of contractors that are qualified for that work. Once we have the projects identified, both in terms of scope and size, then we can determine who we can reach out to and who should participate, whether it be our community level contractors or it be the other larger corporations.
Thank you.
Got it. Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Dr. Davis or Commissioner Close, any questions for BOE?
Yes, Mr. Vandergriff. So at what point do we, once we have an idea and a vision as you do, then at what point do we communicate with BCA about our idea?
So we've been in communication with BCA almost from the beginning with this particular project. And yesterday, again, we had discussions with them about what size contractor constitutes a community level contractor, as well as what size project would be appropriate for them. And of course, we do participate in BCA's Small Business Academy program so that we can help these businesses become aware of opportunities. So that's really what it boils down to.
Thank you so much for your work and your communication, and I look forward to future reports from engineering.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Davis. We'll go with, thank you, by the way, any other, if there's no questions, Commissioner Caloso for BOE, any questions? Okay, got it. No questions, Mr. Vandergriff. You are good to go, but just hang on for a minute just in case there's any other more questions as we finish up. Thank you. Bureau of Street Services, Melinda?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So this is Melinda Chow with the Bureau of Street Services, representing the Administration Division, reporting on the CLC opportunities that the Bureau currently has. For this reporting period, we did have, although these are opportunities that had been initiated prior to the CLC initiative starting, but we do want to emphasize that a couple of these programs, even though they were started previously, they do, in an essence, kind of meet the vision of the CLC program, which is to bring in small local businesses and minorities as well as women-owned. So I wanted to emphasize that, we do have 4 contractors that are on board to provide maintenance of landscape median islands. Now, again, we have 1 contractor for each region that is covered, and these contracts are for 1 year with 2 one-year renewal options. These they expired in October of 2021, and they were recently approved for extension for the 2nd year through October 2022. But we want to definitely acknowledge the fact that even though these vendors, we didn't do too much differently compared to prior contracting opportunities. However, in the prior 3-year contract procurement, we had 4 contracts, but 3 of those contractors was with the same company, and so this year's contracts are for 4 separate companies, and one of which is a brand new company that's doing business with the city, and we worked diligently with them to really meet the city's standard contracting performance standards. You know, it's hard to always to bring in a small local business and expect them to perform at you know the higher standards that we expect them to, and you know, especially being a very small local business, it's even harder to meet that expectation. So we work really diligently to continue them into the 2nd year of services. So again, even though the procurement process wasn't too different than in prior years, we want to acknowledge the fact that we did bring in a brand new small local business who is actually certified as a small local business, as well as emerging and small business enterprise. We also executed a 3-year contract for freeway off-ramp closure services. Now, again, this same contract, this procurement process was initiated before the CLC initiative. However, we do want to acknowledge also that this vendor that was brought on board is also a certified small business enterprise as well as a local business enterprise. And that contract was just executed during this reporting period of October through December of 2021. And we do have our as-needed haul truck program that basically provides hauling services for construction materials, mainly asphalt. And we currently have 78 truckers that are part of the program. And the majority of these truckers are small minority-owned businesses as well as local businesses. Again, we are looking to add additional truckers to this program and also increase the budget by approximately $2 million to address workload demands. So this will further the CLC initiative to bring on minority as well as local businesses. In terms of future contracting opportunities, as existing contracts expire, we're going to work with our project managers to help identify new opportunities that arise. But as we stand now, a lot of our contracts are with they're either already existing and or we're working on potentially sole source opportunities, which kind of limits our ability to go out and solicit opportunities for CLC. But at the same time, we will definitely be working with BCA to explore those opportunities as they arise. We do have one new potential CLC opportunity that we have been working to bring on board, and that's for the sidewalk vending program, outreach and education services. We have been allocated about $350,000 to hire local community organizations to provide targeted outreach and education and other consulting services for the sidewalk vending program. And through an RFQ process, we have developed a list of potential qualifying community-based organizations as well as consultants. Most of these are community-based organizations. However, it is taking time to execute the contract. We do hope to bring them on board with a contract before June 2022. But in the meantime, to kickstart that program, we did work with one of the community-based organizations through an authority for expenditure to provide certain outreach already. And the board approved that last week. So we do hope to bring these contracts into place by June 2022, and that will be presented to board in the upcoming hearing.
Great, thank you so much, Ms. Chow. Any questions for Bureau of Street Services?
Yeah, Mrs. Chow, thank you so much for your report and for a review of the efforts that you are working on. You raised two issues that are challenges for the organization of street services. One is that you talked about the capacity of small businesses and the capacity of community groups in terms of what they're capable of doing and what they're not capable of doing. And then you also talked about how difficult it was to execute contracts for these groups. In your discussion and collaboration with contract administration, I would love to see you brainstorm about how we are able to assess these challenges that you have experienced in terms of your recognition of what the capacity has been for small businesses with whom you have done work, as well as what systems can be put in place to better and more effectively execute contracts. I think contract administration and the two of you with street services can collaborate on some new strategies and some strategic management skills that will help us to increase our opinion of what the capacity of small businesses is. I think that through collaboration, we might be able to come up with some recommendations in terms of what we can provide to assist these small businesses in doing business with us, because that's a part of what contract administration is supposed to be doing. And I think in that collaboration, we will be able to come up with recommendations such as, for example, technical assistance to those small businesses to fit the gaps that we have discovered exist between what they do and what we expect. So I would love for these discussions we have with contract administration to result in some recommendations to meet the challenges that you have discussed before the board. And that's namely the capacity of what small businesses are, and it is our own ability to execute contracts. So in our next discussion with contract administration, can we have a fruitful conversation about some recommendations? I always believe two heads are better than one. I would love to see us in our next dialogue with Con Ed address those issues. Thank you, Madam.
Yes, and we actually had a meeting with Con Ed last week to discuss this. For example, we were discussing how certain times when we release bidding opportunities, releasing a request for proposal may not be necessarily the best option, because the bigger firms are definitely going to be able to present a much more developed proposal compared to the smaller firms. And so, you know, there are certain situations where it makes more sense to do a request for bid versus a request for proposal. And we also acknowledge that even once you have a contract in place, the small local businesses may not be as able to absorb, for example, the ability to handle payment delays that may arise due to various administrative issues, you know. So that is another something else that we can definitely work to resolve, and hopefully by streamlining various contracting procedures, we can bring you know, or diminish these potential delays, and that would definitely help with with, having the small local businesses compete. But also, there's also the, working more closely with these small businesses, even once they're on board, to ensure that, you're more lenient to them in terms of the performance standards. You know that our expectations, we should never lower our expectations, but, to support these small local businesses, we almost have to be more lenient with them when it comes to our expectations, and to work more closely with them to bring them up to par.
Well, I would also say at our level, not only the level of the small businesses performance, but at our level of performance as administrators.
Yes.
Oftentimes you can see the forest when you're across the street. Sometimes when you're in the forest, you can't see the forest for the trees. So the collaboration with Con Ed is critically important. There are some things that we might be able to implement that will help strengthen not only our perspective about the performance of small businesses, but might be able to, in fact, enhance it. For example, there are technical assistance information that Con Ed can conduct, perhaps a workshop, to assist you to strengthen the gap between what you expect them to have, and there may secondly be some administrative systems that we can give street services that will help us to index some of the expectations we have, so that Con Ed and their collaboration with you can add another value as to what our public value is in working with these small businesses. There are some bureaus that have had success. I don't know if best practices is something that Con Ed shares, so that if in fact it is, since they're working with all 4 bureaus, they also can share with you best practices that worked in another bureau where you don't work and don't know about, that has been the cornerstone as to why they have been so successful with small businesses. So that we are this department of these 5 different units, and different things go on. It's like 5 different corporations. However, when we collaborate around problems and look at gaps such as this, getting that information is critically important, because their best practices can also be mine. So again, I won't beat a dead horse, but I think the collaboration can give us some new stuff that we have not been able to get.
Thank you, Dr. Davis and Ms. Chow, for your report. I do appreciate all the efforts that Bureau of Street Services is doing on working around the community level contracting. It sounds like you're doing a lot and still working on doing more on that front. So thank you for that. And I was happy to hear that truckers were part of this also community level contracting, and so hopefully we can continue to work with them that way. Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Chow. We're going to move on to Bureau of Sanitation. Ali, is that you now?
That is me. Good
Okay.
afternoon, commissioners. It's a pleasure to be in front of you this afternoon. I'm here to report on our CLC contract for landscape services. This is turning to be more of a challenge than we thought. We're having issues with our bidders and their statement of qualifications. We're seeing things like missing documents. The SOQs aren't in the format that we required. Responsibility questionnaires are missing, and names of plaintiffs in court cases over payments are missing, and the disposition of the cases aren't disclosed. Documents out of order, submission of documents on time. We have one particular bidder that is, or proposer that is consistently late on deadlines, up to 3 weeks late submitting documents. So they've been deemed unresponsive. However, I do understand that our centralized contract unit met with you, Commissioner Colosa, and we are reaching back out to these proposers to try to help them get their SOQs in a position where we can deem them responsive and get them on our list. So it's an ongoing process. My PM is scheduling meetings with all the proposers that were deemed unresponsive to try to rectify the situation with their SOQs and get them in a position where we can put them on our list.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Ali, the Bureau of Sanitation, on the questions?
Yes, I definitely have some comments
Go
again.
ahead.
And I hate to lean on Con Ed, but I really don't hate to lean on them. Again, I hear a need for technical assistance. I'm glad you called my colleague, Commissioner Caloza, but I also want you to call Con Ed, because Con Ed should be doing some technical assistance to bring our companies up to speed. You know, it's almost like going to school. They've not been working, and I'm not certainly by any measure giving them an excuse for not performing up to standard. But unfortunately, because they have not been practicing, they need some technical assistance in terms of how to get it. And you're not the only person. In fact, I heard this before from engineering, that the due diligence in filling out things from A to Z has not been done. Oftentimes, I've heard an example of question 13 wasn't answered. They answered all 12, but they didn't answer 13, which made them ineligible. So this is technical assistance. And I know you have so much on your plate because you're providing the absolute service and you're wanting people that's ready to go. But people coming in, and you have done, I know you do a pre-conference, I know all of that, but it just speaks to me that there's a need for this technical assistance. Somebody needs to bring them in to say, not that you didn't say it, but it's just like your children. Sometimes they say kids listen to the people across the street before they listen to their parents. Well, somebody needs to tell them that you've got to fill this stuff out A to Z. And I'm not saying you haven't done that, but I would just love the 1-2 punch with Con Ed helping you. And I know, and I'm not even suggesting that sanitation hasn't done everything above and beyond the call of duty. It's just that we're more powerful when Con Ed is helping us. So I think some of these companies need some technical assistance, and I think it'll make a difference. They need to learn to fill out everything from A to Z. I have heard it before, Mr. VC, that they did not. So I believe your report, and I just want once again to ring the bell over at Con Ed.
Great, thank you, Dr. Davis. I appreciate the work also, and thank you, Mr. Ali. That was all for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it. And lastly, Bureau of Street Lighting, Evie. Go ahead, Evie. You're on mute, though.
Oh, sorry.
No worries, it happens to all of us.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Commissioners, and all Bureau representatives present today. I'm Evelinda Pena with the Bureau of Street Lighting to speak on behalf of the Community Level Contractor Quarterly Report. First of all, I would like to apologize that our report was submitted a tad late, so it's not part of the agenda for any inconvenience to all of you. For this quarterly report from October 1st to December 31st, we did submit contracts to be reviewed. And so for this quarter, they were under review. But however, I would like to report that in January, 8 of the contracts that were submitted were executed. And so that report will be reflected in the next quarterly report. We do have contract numbers for these contracts. So currently, our Bureau is working together to put working packages that abide by our RFQ requirements that we stated. The packages will be not over $100,000. So that's what we're putting together currently, and we're also trying to evaluate where we would store equipment and how to move forward with purchasing it, because part of the contract was that the Bureau would be purchasing the poles, the luminaires, and the base, so that the contractors would only need to purchase items to actually complete the build. but that would be for the next quarterly report. So for this one, I just wanted to just be transparent that that they were executed and they were under review during this time frame for this quarter. I do want to make a comment that the staff with BCA were most helpful in helping us get to this point. I mean, I could not have done it alone. So I do want to mention, Linda, your staff is amazing. So thank you. And so that's all I have. I would like to just also mention that in the approved on-call list, we had 11 contractors, but 3 dropped, and so that's why we only have 8. And I'm ready for any questions.
Great, thank you, Evie, for your report. Any questions for the Bureau of Street Lighting?
I just have some comments. Street lighting, I just think that you have underscored my point here this afternoon. You worked with BCA, and it looks like you've had more contracts approved than anybody that's reported today. And so that is my point. Let's collaborate with BCA on this stuff. I know that each department can do it, and I know you're capable, and I know you do an outstanding job. But a little cream on the cake won't hurt anybody. So the collaboration with them, and I'm glad to hear you testify that you found and discovered them to be very helpful in what you're doing. So I truly believe that, and I believe that we can close the gap. I believe that we can have a different culture based upon working with BCA in terms of what we will see in the small businesses that we're doing business with. I think when we couple with them, that we will see an increase in performance with those whom we are seeking to involve in community level contracting. And I think that they may also, being objective, see some ideas that might be helpful to those of us in the Bureau about what we can do administratively to be more effective in the work that we're doing. Sometimes people across the street can see something different that we can't see. So thank you so much for your testimony and sharing your experience.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any other questions for Evie, Bureau of Street Lighting? No? Looks like none, Evie. Thank you so much to everyone that gave reports, and of course, thank you to the leadership on this community level contracting, the Colosa, BCA, Dr. Davis, everybody involved. I think Jessica, your department's also involved. Everybody that's involved with community level contracting, we understand it's new, but thank you so much because this is something that we really look forward to helping and making sure that other folks get on the same platform. So with that, thank you all. Have a good rest of the week. And I think we're done with all of our items today, right, Dr. Campos?
That is correct.
All right. Well, meeting adjourned. Thank you all. See you guys
Thank you
Friday.
all. Everybody have a great week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.